Chapter 2992. The battle outside the Alliance Chief Mansion was still going on. Powerful energy kept surging. Those grade 9 divine generals who were previously scared by Zichun and did not dare to attack no longer had any scruples when facing Monk and the others. With the advantage of numbers, Zichun's people gradually found it difficult to resist. But so far, no one had died in battle. Because no one could break armor in a short time. There was almost no one as powerful as Zichun who could break armor in an instant. Get lost. Black light lingered on Devil Ape's body, and he turned into a giant. The black rod in his hand suddenly smashed down. Lightning flashed on the pitch-black armor on his body from time to time. Their battle armors were infused with thunderstones. Boom. There was a huge shock of energy. A grade 9 was smashed back, but he was not injured. Devil Ape and the others had powerful combat strength. If they were in the divine realm, they would definitely be on the list of generals. However, many of these divine generals here were on the list. Even if some were not, with the absolute advantage of numbers, they were naturally not afraid of them. Therefore, the battle outside could not be decided for the time being. However, if it went on for too long, it would naturally be disadvantageous to Monk and the others. Kappa and the other elders were standing in the distance at this moment, but their attention was not here. The life and death of these people had nothing to do with them. What they cared about was the Alliance Chief Mansion. At this moment, they could sense everything that was happening in the Alliance Chief Mansion and were very satisfied with it. After seeing the indigenous people being killed with one slash, they were extremely excited as if they had seen hope. But at the same time, they were also deeply afraid. Next, Zichun killed one indigenous person after another with one slash. This made them even more worried. Next, they saw Yushiyu appear. His body shone with a strong light as he used his domain. He should be fighting a life and death battle with Zichun. After that, they could not see anything. Zichun killed his way forward. He entered the Alliance Chief Mansion and saw Alliance Chief Yushiyu. This was the first time he saw him. Yushiyu was wearing a long robe and stood with his hands behind his back. He looked very elegant. Such a person did not look like a great evil person. When the other party appeared, they did not immediately engage in battle with Zichun. Zichun did not know what the elders outside saw. Yue stood beside Yushiyu and looked at Zichun nervously. You are the person with the strongest battle prowess that I have seen in all these years, Yushiyu said calmly. Zichun looked at the other party indifferently. His left hand gripped the scabbard tightly, while his right hand gripped the saber hilt. Electric light surrounded his body. When Yue saw that Zichun was about to attack, a hint of fear appeared in his eyes. He wasn't sure if the Alliance Master could block this attack. Before we make a move, why don't we make a bet? Yushiyu's expression did not change. He did not raise his defense as he looked at Zichun. What kind of bet? The lightning on Zichun's body gradually receded. As the pressure around him dissipated, Yue heaved a sigh of relief. I'm not your only enemy. The elders behind you should count as well, right? Yushiyu said, if I'm not wrong, after you kill me, you will definitely return to kill them. Zichun did not say anything. His silence was a tacit agreement. I bet that after you leave, they will make the first move. Not only will they eliminate you, but they will also kill your friends, Yushiyu said. Such a bet is meaningless because you won't be able to see it no matter what, Zichun said indifferently. Yushiyu smiled and said, it seems like you are very confident in your combat strength. You should have expended a lot of energy in the battle, right? Our Yu family still has many experts. Furthermore, we have recruited many experts. The ones you killed earlier were less than 1/20th of them. Under such circumstances, do you think you still have the confidence to kill me? Zichun tightened his grip on his saber again and said coldly, but since you appeared, I don't need to fight anyone else. Yushiyu said, I appear to make this bet with you. Or rather, this is a deal. If you do as I say, I'll give you a chance to have a fair battle. I won't use the human wave tactic again. At the same time, I can guarantee that Kong Hongya will remain alive while we fight. If you die, Kong Hongya's life and death will naturally have nothing to do with you. On the other hand, if you live, Kong Hongya will naturally live. Why should I believe you? Zichun asked coldly. You have no choice, right? Yushiyu said with a smile. Zichen thought for a moment before asking, "What do you plan on getting me to do?" "We can put on a show and see what expressions those old fellows will have when they learn of my death," Yushiyu said. Yushiyu said, "I really want to see this scene and then see their extreme joy turn to sorrow." Extreme joy turns to sorrow? Zichen frowned. "You will know soon." Yushiyu smiled mysteriously. "I don't like the layout of this Alliance Leader residence. Furthermore, it's too small. Treat it as part of the price. After this, I will expand this place and make it truly worthy of my identity." As soon as he finished speaking, a powerful aura was released from Yushiyu's body. In this aura, a wave spread out. Wherever the wave passed, the Alliance Leader residence began to collapse. In the blink of an eye, the Alliance Leader residence turned into ruins. Smoke and dust filled the sky. The battle in the surroundings stopped. Everyone looked at the collapsed Alliance Leader manor, their expressions constantly changing. After the Alliance Leader residence collapsed, no powerful aura continued to surge. Clearly, the battle had ended. However, who lived and who died? As they waited in a tense atmosphere, a person appeared in the smoke and dust. When they saw this person, the surroundings were filled with exclamations. Monk and the others revealed excited expressions. The person who appeared was Zichen. He was carrying a corpse in his hand. It was the dead Yushiyu. He walked out of the smoke and dust and said indifferently, "Yushiyu is dead. Do you still want to fight?" The expressions of the divine generals changed drastically as they retreated. Obviously, this result was unexpected. Recalling what Zichen had said earlier, their expressions were very ugly. It was obvious that they had lost this gamble. At this moment, Zichen's body was covered with a lot of smoke and dust. He looked very miserable, but he was not seriously injured. Monk and the others walked over excitedly. Obviously, everyone was safe. The crisis had been resolved just like that. Well done. Kappa and the other elders also stepped forward, and their expressions became very excited. "Where's the Alliance Leader?" Kappa asked. "He said he died a long time ago," Zichen said indifferently. When the elders heard this, their faces revealed regret, but there was unconcealable joy in their eyes. "Where's the key?" Kappa asked again. Zichen subconsciously glanced at Yushiyu's wrist. There was a spatial spirit bracelet there. Kappa laughed and said, "Don't worry. We will definitely keep our word. Next, we will open the door to Heaven's Path and let all of you in." Kappa took Yushiyu's corpse from Zichen's hands. Chapter 29:93. The meaning of Kappa's words changed at the end. There was an uproar in the surroundings, as no one understood what Kappa meant. "Go to hell." Kappa's previous smiling face was replaced by an incomparably cold and fierce look. Behind him, the two elders began to form hand seals. Kappa retreated to the rear, and the two elders who were forming hand seals followed him like shadows. Explode! The next moment, the seals fell and a loud shout rang out. Kappa sneered as he looked ahead, waiting for Zichen's group to be killed by the exploding armor. Zichen didn't react, and his friends were also standing there, their armor intact. "I've already removed the self-destructing array inside. You guys are too evil." Kongimo walked over, his eyes red. Apparently, he already knew that his father was dead. At this time, he was also very angry. He didn't expect these elders to burn the bridge after crossing the river. Seeing that the armor didn't explode, Kappa was startled at first, but then a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. Zichen noticed the change in the other party's expression and had a bad feeling in his heart. He shouted, "Not good," quickly. Before he could finish his words, the armor on their bodies suddenly began to shine, and the light enveloped their bodies. This scene looked as if they had activated the armor on their own and were preparing for battle. In fact, they didn't move at all. All of this was due to the armor changing on its own. The shining armor trapped this group of people like a domain, making them unable to move or mobilize the energy in their bodies. In addition, there was also a powerful devouring force that was devouring the energy in their bodies. "What's going on?" Kongimo, who saw this scene from the front, cried out involuntarily and immediately ran over. "Big brother, what happened?" "I can't move my body," Zichen said, And my energy is also flowing away. Kangamo was so scared that his face turned pale. He said in a panic, "How can this be? I clearly checked it before, and there was no problem." Kappa snorted coldly and said, "Checked? What's your check? Do you really think you're a great genius? That self-destructing rune formation was deliberately shown to you. Otherwise, how could you be so careless?" The crowd was in an uproar. Clearly, no one had expected these natives to be so shameless as to deliberately tamper with the armor, and not just in one place. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too greedy. Not only did you not ask for one set of armor, you even asked for dozens of sets. Why don't you think about it? I only asked you to kill Yushiyu, but you actually dared to ask for such an exorbitant price. You deserve this. Kappa glanced at Zichen and coldly said, "Next, all you need to do is wait for the energy in your body to be completely devoured by the armor. When that time comes, we can easily kill you. As for now, you guys are really shameless." Before Kappa could finish his words, a cold voice suddenly rang out. There were many powerful auras in the crowd. These auras were all rank 9, and the one in the lead was Whaley. In a flash, he came to Zichen's side. The dozens of rank 9s who had arrived stood around them, protecting Zichen and his friends. "It's you. What do you want?" Kappa naturally knew Whaley. He was the first person on the Outer Realms general list, and all the forces wanted to recruit him. Burning the bridge after crossing the river. "You guys are too shameless." Whaley looked at Kappa and said indifferently, "Shameless? Whaley, is there something wrong with your brain? Now that the key is in my hands, how dare you talk to me like this? Believe it or not, I'll make you stay here forever." Kappa threatened. "Stay here forever? You'll have to kill Zichen first." Whaley turned around, and a long saber appeared in his hand. He slashed at Zichen. This slash was ferocious, and a powerful aura raged. The blade fell on Zichen's body, and when it met the light, a powerful force exploded. Zichen was pushed back more than 10 feet by this force, but the light on the surface of his body did not disappear. "It's useless. We used the best materials for this armor, and even used the absolute field technique. How can you break it?" Kappa looked at the other people who had attacked with sarcasm. They had all returned empty-handed. Then, he turned his head to look at the rank 9 martial artists around him and said loudly, "All of you listen up. Now that the key is in my hands, if you want to leave, kill these people now. This is also a test for you. I'm a merciful person. This time, the quota is 110 people." As Kappa's voice fell, the faces of the heavenly generals around him turned ugly. Obviously, they had just escaped from the wolf's den and fell into the tiger's mouth. None of them were good. Alliance Master, you already guessed it? In another space, Yue and Yushiyu looked at this scene, and Yue asked curiously. Yushiyu smiled faintly and said, "I'm too familiar with the greedy nature of these old guys. As long as Zichen succeeds, they will definitely find a way to eliminate him. Because Zichen can kill me, he can also kill them. At the same time, it's also because they want to get the key alone and firmly pin down these experts in the future." Next to him, Yue smiled and said, "In this way, Zichen and the others will definitely be killed by them. Alliance Master can eliminate Zichen without having to fight at all. This method is naturally good. However, when Zichen dies, will he tell them that Alliance Master is not dead? In this way, maybe they will let Zichen go out of fear? Of course not. In this situation, once they let Zichen go, the first few people that Zichen will kill will be the few of them. They would rather kill Zichen and then negotiate with me than let Zichen go. Moreover, I don't believe that Zichen can escape." Yushiyu smiled. His smile was very mysterious. But Yue still had questions to ask, but Yushiyu lost interest in answering. He said faintly, "Just watch quietly and you'll know." Yue nodded and said no more. At this time, Zichen spoke again. "Whaley, you guys retreat first. Don't worry about us. Before the energy is exhausted, we are not safe for the time being." "Leave? It's too late. These people must die." Kappa said coldly, "Now, there are 110 spots. Whoever wants them, kill them." When they couldn't break the absolute domain to deal with these damn natives, Everyone wanted the 110 spots. After a short hesitation, the battle broke out again. The energy surged, and Kappa was very satisfied. At this time, Zichun tried to mobilize the world, but found that the world was forcibly suppressed by the power of the domain and could not be unfolded. Chapter 2994. Zichun tried to open his world but found that it did not work. At this moment, he seemed to be standing in an absolutely isolated domain. This domain even suppressed his world. His world could not be opened, so he could not take everyone in. Zichun's expression became gloomy. Obviously, he did not expect to encounter such a scheme. However, he did not blame Kappa. He could only blame himself for not having the ability. This was a battle of interests to begin with. It depended on who would have the last laugh. Right now, not only did he have to think of a way to escape, but he also had to save his friends as soon as possible. Now that the energy was dissipating very quickly, his only way was to forcefully break through this domain. How could he break through this domain when the energy was constantly dissipating? The answer was to become stronger. His thunder physique began to activate. A powerful force surged. A part of the force dissipated, while the other part formed an attack, trying to break through the armor. During this period, too much energy was lost, causing the attack to be very weak. It was impossible to break through the armor. Under such circumstances, he could only become stronger. At this moment, although he could not enter the world, he could still mobilize the energy in the world. His spiritual senses quickly swept through the world and arrived above a thunderstone. There were many thunderstone here, tens of thousands of them. Explode! His spiritual senses landed on it, and he gave the order. Waves of rule power fell from the sky and landed on those thunderstone. In the next moment, tens of thousands of thunderstone exploded. The exploded thunderstone turned into a surge of energy that raged like a destructive storm and began to spread. A spatial vortex suddenly appeared and enveloped all the energy. In the next moment, this energy channel vortex arrived outside Zichun's body, which was the domain in the light of the armor. Zichun's thunder physique began to operate, absorbing this energy. At the same time, the armor was also absorbing this energy. Both sides were fighting to see who could absorb faster. In fact, at this moment, Zichun had another way to escape, which was to let the armor domain continuously absorb energy until it was full. He had a world to maintain, and there was endless energy inside, so he was not afraid of consumption at all. However, Zichun was not sure if the armor domain would disappear after the energy was full. If it could not disappear on its own, then he would still be passive. At that time, because he had wasted a lot of time, perhaps something would have happened to his friends. Therefore, he chose this method of forcibly breaking through. Endless lightning energy entered his body and was refined by the thunder physique. It began to strengthen his physical body. Under the onslaught of this violent energy, his body was enduring indescribable pain. The energy from before quickly disappeared under the plundering of both parties. 60% of the energy was absorbed by the armor, and the remaining 40% was absorbed by the lightning body. Explode again! Zichun's spiritual force landed on the second pile of thunderstones. As the nomological laws descended, these thunderstones exploded once again. The number of thunderstones this time was even more than the previous time, and the energy formed was also extremely terrifying. Under normal circumstances, Zichun definitely wouldn't have made such a choice. This was because the energy his thunder physique was absorbing wasn't carefully refined at all. It would be very detrimental to his future cultivation. Now that their lives were in danger, he couldn't care less. He had to think of a way to break through and leave this place first. More thunder stones exploded, and the thunder physique crazily absorbed this energy. His aura began to strengthen. At this moment, Tyrant and the others had restrained their auras and cultivation methods. Although they still couldn't stop the armor from absorbing energy, the speed of absorption had obviously slowed down. When the armor territory was formed, they wouldn't be in danger. Hence, they weren't in a hurry at this moment. Su Mingyao, who was trapped in the armor, didn't panic at all. The spirit-devouring grass that she had subdued last time had already planted its roots on the armor, and it began to absorb the armor's energy. There was obviously a reason why Kangamo was so afraid of it back then. Not only was the absolute territory formed by the armor unable to devour its energy, but it was also devouring it now. She believed that it wouldn't be long before it finished devouring all the energy and broke the armor. However, the armor territory prevented voice transmissions. She couldn't tell Zichun about this. The surroundings became very quiet, and the atmosphere was very oppressive. The dozens of people who were waiting for death didn't feel the slightest bit of panic. Instead, they were very calm. The rank 9s who were attacking Wei Li and the others had stopped fighting and retreated one after another. This was because they saw Zichun releasing a strong light in the light of the armor. Occasionally, a powerful aura would surge out through the absolute territory. They knew very well how strong Zichun was. If he really broke the armor and came out, it would be a disaster for them. Wei Li and the others obviously noticed this too. Hence, they all stood beside Zichun and the others to protect them. Kappa looked ahead, and his face became very ugly. Behind him, the other elders' faces were filled with fear. If Zichun really broke the armor and came out, with his combat strength, not only would they die, but their families would also be wiped out. Kappa said coldly, "Increase the devouring power." The two behind him formed seals again and began to control Zichun's armor together, increasing its devouring speed. Zichun's spiritual thoughts scanned the world, and more thunderstones exploded. He had obtained a lot of thunderstones last time, and there were also many from the rank 9s he had killed. Hence, even if they increased the devouring speed of the armor, Zichun still wasn't worried about the lack of energy. In Kappa's mansion, a god general in armor stood. He stood in the largest courtyard with a cold expression. At this moment, above the mansion, there was a huge light shield, enveloping the entire mansion. Screams and shouts could be heard constantly, but they couldn't reach the outside world. "How dare you come here and behave so atrociously? You're courting death." A loud roar was heard, accompanied by a powerful vibration. A rank 9s broke through the courtyard and crashed at the feet of the god general. He spat out blood, and the armor on his body shattered. His aura dissipated. A rank 9s was killed. The god general raised his head and saw an aboriginal charging at him with a face full of anger. "You despicable fellow, don't you know that we're born to counter you?" Hearing this, the god general sneered. He raised his right hand, and there was a beam of light in his hand. This beam of light was black, like a small snake, and it was constantly twisting. The aboriginal charged at him, and in between, he activated his territory and held a heavy hammer in his hand. The god general released his palm, and the twisting black light immediately flew toward the aboriginal. His absolute territory couldn't withstand a single blow from this black light, and it was instantly pierced through. Immediately after, the black light that pierced through the absolute territory pierced through the aboriginal's head. This powerful aboriginal was dead, and the black light also dissipated. Lights flashed all around, and more rank 9s arrived. "All dead?" the god general asked indifferently. "Yes," the rank 9s all around answered. "Take away all the resources, and then destroy this mansion." In the next moment, this mansion collapsed, and endless smoke and dust filled the air. The light shield above disappeared, and the group walked toward the Alliance Master Mansion. Chapter 2995. Zichun's aura was getting stronger and stronger, and the two elders were about to lose control of their armor. In the distance, the rank 9s who had participated in the battle earlier retreated even faster, and many of them had already left in a hurry. If Zichun held a grudge, they would be in danger. Zichun's swift blade was unstoppable. The other elders looked at Kappa, and their expressions were getting worse. Kappa wiped away the cold sweat on his forehead, looked at Zichun in front of him, and said, "Zichun, can we discuss this again?" Zichun did not speak. At this moment, he was shrouded in the power of thunder, and he was devouring it wholeheartedly. At the same time, he was also fighting with the armor for resources. He had no chance to speak, and he did not want to waste time. This was because when Kappa was speaking, he did not stop the armor, but increased the devouring power. Seeing that Zichun did not speak, Kappa became more nervous. Then, his gaze shifted, and he said, "I'll let you and your friend out. then let you leave, and we'll write off the grudge between us. How about that? There was an uproar all around again. Kappa was obviously afraid and had given in, and was going through the final negotiation. Old thing, do you think that's possible? Zichun did not speak. The one who spoke was Monk. He looked at Kappa through the light shield of the armor and sneered, burning the bridge after crossing the river. You're dead meat? Kappa's expression became gloomy, and he shouted, Then we'll kill Kongamo first and drag him down with us. Go and capture him. Kappa's voice fell, and he realized that no one moved. The god generals he had recruited had retreated at some point. At this moment, the only ones standing next to him were the dozen or so elders. Kappa said unhappily, What are you waiting for? Hurry up and capture Kongamo. At this moment, Kongamo was beside Zichun, protected by Wei Li and the others. The other elders did not move, and their expressions were changing. Kappa was angry. What? You want to draw a line with me too? Let me tell you, if Zichun comes out, none of you can escape. The elders' faces showed a touch of determination, and they immediately went toward Kongamo, who was protected by the other rank 9s. Right at this moment, a powerful aura came from afar. One after another, figures of light flew over. Seeing these 9th-grade divine generals, the expressions of the surrounding people changed. They had already recognized that these people were experts who had been recruited by the Yu family. However, Yu Shiyu had already been killed by Zichun. Why would they appear here? Could it be that they weren't in the Alliance head residence earlier? Yu Shiyu didn't send them to stop Zichun? These people were surging with terrifying killing intent, as if they had just returned from a great battle. Kappa seemed to have thought of something as his face instantly turned pale. He cried out involuntarily, Where are you from? The general said, Your family. His gaze then landed on the elders as he said indifferently, And your families. When the elders heard this, their vision darkened and they almost fell to the ground. While they were watching the show, their families had already been annihilated. Impossible. With just you guys? Karpa said in a cold voice, You lowly creatures have no way of breaking our absolute domain. Otherwise, you would have been in charge here. This was common knowledge, and the main reason why the divine generals who came here had always been suppressed by the natives. When the divine generals heard this, they sneered and didn't say anything. Karpa said indifferently, Now that Yu Shiyu is dead, if you pledge your loyalty to me, I'll give you a chance to leave. Otherwise, you'll be trapped here forever. The divine general's response was to sneer. Looking at everyone's expressions, Karpa felt that something was wrong and immediately grabbed the bracelet of the corpse. Swoosh! The bracelet in his hand flickered with light. His soul probed it and saw something shining. It was a key. His face immediately lit up with surprise. At this moment, the bracelet suddenly turned into a ray of light and disappeared. The surprise on Karpa's face froze and his expression turned ugly. How could something that was in his hands disappear? At this moment, there was a sudden cracking sound. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound and saw a crack appear on a person's armor. The crack spread to the extreme and exploded. The armor was torn apart, and a person walked out. She was dressed in white and was spotless. There was a ball of green light in her palm. The green light was a plant. At this moment, it was swaying gently. The first one to come out wasn't Zichun, but a woman. This caused the crowd in the distance to be astonished. When the elders saw this scene, their faces were filled with disbelief. One of them exclaimed, It's the spirit-devouring grass. The other divine generals didn't recognize the spirit-devouring grass, but the other party could break the armor domain. At this time, the elders were so nervous. Obviously, it was not an ordinary plant. The spirit-devouring grass in Su Mengyao's hand trembled slightly and flew into the air. The next moment, the green light skyrocketed. Its roots began to spread and fell on the other people's bodies. The roots were like the sharpest weapon in the world, easily sinking into the armor. The next moment, an even more intense light shone. The spirit-devouring grass began to devour the energy in the armor. How can they have the spirit-devouring grass? In that space, after Yue saw the spirit-devouring grass, his expression changed drastically like the elders. There was even a touch of horror in his eyes. Before Zichun's arrival, The only thing in this world that could break the absolute domain was the spirit-devouring grass. However, this kind of thing was very rare and could even be said to be invisible. It could only be seen in their awakened memories. He didn't expect to see it today. Interesting. Yushiyu looked at the spirit-devouring grass with a faint smile on his face. It looks like it has been awakened. Can the spirit-devouring grass be awakened? Yue asked curiously. Just like us, the spirit-devouring grass will awaken in a certain period of time. Once it succeeds, the following path will be smooth. There is even a chance for it to transform and become the spirit-devouring king. Yushiyu looked at the spirit-devouring grass that had taken root in the armor and then at the elders. He said, now it has been awakened once and has gone very far. Maybe it can really become the spirit-devouring king. Just as Yushiyu was speaking, the elders rushed forward. They unfolded their domain and released a powerful aura. They wanted to stop this. At the same time, the spirit-devouring grass was a good thing. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as they were rushing forward, roots extended from the spirit-devouring grass and swept towards the elders. The roots pierced into the elders' absolute domain and then began to extract the energy. At the same time, the elders' bodies became immobile. After seeing this, Yushiyu's face revealed a touch of surprise. Interesting. It has grown to this extent. If it wasn't for the suppression of the rules of this world, it might have been promoted and become the spirit-devouring king. The elders who were rooted by the spirit-devouring grass couldn't move at all. It was as if they were frozen. Chapter 2996. Many people were moved by Kappa's words, but still, no divine general stepped forward. The spirit-devouring grass could break through the battle armor domain, so it was indeed extraordinary. These people wanted to get it, but before that, they needed to consider whether they could keep their lives after getting it. No one could block Zichen's terrifying saber. Damn it! Kappa's expression changed when he saw that those people did not dare to appear. However, they could not move at all at this moment, so they were naturally in danger. At this moment, a powerful aura appeared from afar. It was some natives. It's the Yu family. Seeing those natives, someone exclaimed loudly. Alliance Master Yushiyu was from the Yu family, but the Alliance Master residence did not represent the entire Yu family. It was Yushiyu's exclusive place. The Yu family had another residence. When Zichen attacked, the Yu family did not come. Now that Yushiyu was dead, it seemed strange that these people came. The leader was an old man. He said to Kappa, "Do you want to take our Yu family's things?" He raised the light bracelet in his hand and sneered. Kappa's expression became extremely ugly. It was originally his, but he did not expect the other party to take it away. Alliance Master? Yue looked at the Alliance Master beside him in surprise. Previously, he thought that the Alliance Master had taken the bracelet. After all, it was a real bracelet and the key inside was real. When he made the deal with Zichun, he directly took off the bracelet and removed the ownership of it. Yushiyu smiled mysteriously. In Yue's eyes, it was even a little sinister. "Bring me my spirit-devouring grass." The old man from the Yu family who had the bracelet laughed confidently. The others rushed forward towards the spirit-devouring grass. Buzz! The spirit-devouring grass trembled in midair, and its roots expanded again. It separated in midair and took root in the natives' domain. The divine generals who had previously destroyed the other families did not make a move at this moment. They all retreated. A battle of this level was not something they could participate in. The Yu family members who were rushing over were also frozen by the spirit-devouring grass. They could not move at all. Obviously, everything in the world had a counter. This plant, which was very unfamiliar to everyone, had such a method to completely restrain the natives. Humph! The old man from the Yu family stood in the distance and snorted in dissatisfaction. "Use your full strength." As his voice fell, a black light appeared in the hands of the aboriginals. The rhizomes were struck by the black light, and as if they had met their nemesis, they immediately retracted and the light dimmed. These people from the Yu clan regained their freedom. They looked at Kappa and the other elders not far away, their faces full of ridicule. Seeing the aboriginals push back the spirit-devouring grass and approach, Su Mingyao waved her hand and a mysterious energy wave swept forward. Following the energy wave, the aboriginals all retreated. Her white robes fluttered gently as she stood there. Her body was enveloped in a hazy and mysterious radiance, blocking the Yu family's people. The faces of the Yu family's aboriginals that were knocked back turned ugly. They rushed forward again. During this time, their bodies glowed with light as they activated their domains. Light flew out from Su Mengyao's body, forming a light barrier that enveloped the surroundings. Those aboriginals rush over. Under the suppression of the field, the light shield Su Mingyao has created is slowly shrinking. At this time, Zichun was completely shrouded in lightning. During this time, he had consumed countless thunderstones. Fortunately, he had obtained a lot over the years and was not worried about such consumption. His physical body became stronger, and his aura became more violent. He was on the verge of a breakthrough. He opened his eyes and looked at the outside world through the light shield. There was a great battle going on. A group of indigenous people were fighting against Su Mingyao. At this time, Su Mingyao's body was glowing. She could not hold on for long against more than 10 people. The other divine generals in the surroundings were shocked. This beautiful woman actually had such means. It was as if the field that the indigenous people had against divine generals did not exist. Bang! After a series of clashes, the light shield Su Mingyao formed was broken. Her body flew backward, and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Su Mingyao was already extraordinary to be able to hold on for so long with her 8th grade strength. All of you, go away. Looking at the indigenous people rushing forward, Kang Emo shouted. He stood in front of Su Mingyao and activated his field. Those indigenous people's fields pressed down, creating a strong collision of energy. With a roar, Kang Mo's field was instantly shattered and he flew backward. Whoosh! Whoosh! Rays of light shot out from the spirit-devouring grass. Like chains, they wrapped around those indigenous people. These indigenous people's bodies flickered with black light. These rays of light immediately retreated. The old man behind looked at this scene proudly. He was determined to get the spirit-devouring grass. At this time, there was a loud bang. It was an armor field that collapsed. A strong aura surged in the surroundings. Boundless lightning flashed, and Zichen's figure appeared. At this moment, a strong aura that only a 9th grade martial artist could have erupted from his body. He had reached the true peak, the peak combat strength that this world could accommodate. Not bad. In the space, Yushiyu looked at this scene and nodded with satisfaction. Yue was puzzled by the Alliance Master's attitude. Zichun was an enemy. Shouldn't he feel troubled at this time? Seeing Zichen appear, the others were shocked. Those indigenous people from the Yu family stopped subconsciously. They had been watching the previous battle and knew how strong their opponent was. Now that he had broken through to the 9th grade, his combat strength was obviously stronger. What are you waiting for? Why aren't you killing him? The old man behind him shouted again. These indigenous people who had stopped previously had black energy flowing in their hands again. This energy was very terrifying. They held the black energy in their hands and rushed towards Zichen. Zichen glanced at them indifferently. A long saber appeared in his left hand. The next moment, violent lightning erupted. He unsheathed his saber. Whoosh! The saber arc swept forward and swept past a few people in front. The power of lightning flowed on the saber blade, and countless lightning snakes surged. The black light in the indigenous people's hands was instantly annihilated by the lightning. At the same time, the saber blade swept past his absolute field, broke the field, and swept past their bodies. They died. This time, it was not like before, where one of them died, but several of them died. Obviously, after reaching the 9th grade, Zichen's combat strength had become more powerful. The other indigenous people in the distance were frightened and retreated one after another. Zichen unsheathed the long saber that he had just sheathed. Whoosh! The saber light flashed again and several indigenous people were killed. This kind of method that was close to a massacre made everyone's expression change drastically. Kappa and the elders were even more frightened. At the same time, their hearts were filled with self-blame and regret. However, at this moment, they were fixed in place by the roots of the spirit-devouring grass and could not move their bodies at all. Zichun turned around and stared at them indifferently, a cold light shooting out from his eyes. Not bad. At this moment, Yushiyu's voice sounded and his figure appeared. Chapter 2997. Zichun walked out of the ruined Alliance Master Mansion with Yushiyu's corpse. Everyone thought that the Alliance Master was dead. Everyone was very surprised, but they weren't too surprised. The battle prowess Zichun displayed was too tyrannical. He could kill the natives, so it seemed reasonable for the Alliance Master to be killed. Next, Kappa turned against them without hesitation. He wanted to use the armor to devour their energy and kill Zichun and the others. In the end, before Zichun and the others died, they lost their families and became wandering ghosts. Then, a woman with a spirit-devouring grasp broke out of the armor domain. Then, the Yu family snatched Yushiyu's jade bracelet. After that, Kappa and the others were trapped by the spirit-devouring grass. Zichun was the last to rush out. They thought that everything was over, but they didn't expect Alliance Master Yushiyu to appear again. Looking at Zichun's expression, he didn't seem surprised at all. Kappa and the others complained incessantly, their hearts filled with regret. The Yu family members' expressions also changed drastically. They looked at Yushiyu, who was still alive. Not only were they not happy, but their faces were also filled with horror. After Yushiyu came out, he looked at Kappa and asked with a smile, "Are you surprised by this result?" Kappa turned around and stared at Zichun. He said angrily, "You took my cultivation resources and colluded with him." Zichun replied indifferently, "It's not colluding. It's a deal." At the same time, he looked at Kongimo and said, "Don't worry, your father is fine for the time being." This sudden surprise made Kongimo a little overwhelmed and didn't know how to respond. Yushiyu said indifferently, "He's fine for the time being, but it doesn't mean he'll be fine forever." He turned to look at the Yu family members in the distance and said, "You guys are also very good. Although you used my orders to transfer my people away, leaving me with no one to use, you still did what I wanted to do. There are too many aristocratic families here. I should have wiped out some of them long ago." Previously, Yushiyu said that he had many people to send, but Zichun only killed a few dozen before he appeared. Now, it seemed that those people had been secretly transferred away by the other Yu family members. It was clear that the Yu clan wasn't completely united either. Yushiyu waved his hand, and the bracelet flew back and reappeared on his wrist. The expressions of the Yu family members kept changing. Yushiyu looked at Zichun and said, "Are you going to fight now, or wait for them to appear?" Zichun said, "Let's talk about it later." Yushiyu smiled and said, "That's great. These people are of great help to the growth of the spirit-devouring grass." As soon as Yushiyu finished speaking, the roots of the spirit-devouring grass extended again and landed directly on the absolute territory of the other Yu clan members, including the elder from the Yu clan. Yushiyu did not stop them. He watched quietly. It was obvious that he wanted to kill them as well. Zichun looked at Yushiyu in confusion, as if asking why he was helping them. Yushiyu smiled and said, "Don't misunderstand. When you die, these people will naturally die too. The spirit-devouring grass will be mine. Since it's mine, I'm letting it grow ahead of time. Is there a problem?" Zichun said in a deep voice, "You're too confident." Yushiyu said with a smile, "If you were to meet me when you were rank 8, you would definitely die. If it's a rank 9, there's still a chance." Zichun was a little surprised when he heard this, but he did not believe it. "Yushiyu, you will definitely die a horrible death." The elder from the Yu clan who was frozen by the spirit-devouring grass said resentfully. Yushiyu glanced at the elder and said, "Next, I will use your people to continue cultivating the spirit-devouring grass. They are my clansmen, but they are also your clansmen." The elder from the Yu clan said resentfully, "How can you be so heartless?" Yushiyu smiled faintly and said, "Haven't you already given up on me? Why should I still treat you as my clansmen?" The surrounding divine generals were silent. In this battle, these elders clearly no longer had the advantage and had become complete losers. The next winner was either Zichun or Yushiyu. They naturally hoped that Zichun could win, but looking at the confident Yushiyu, it was obvious that he could not be underestimated. Kappa and the others did not speak at this time. Clearly, they knew that they had failed this time, but they seemed to have a backbone. However, the bigger reason was that they knew that they definitely could not live, even if they begged for mercy. Pa, pa, pa. Not long after, the armor domain on the monk and the others shattered. They walked out of it. Except for a lot of energy, they had no other injuries. Seeing that everyone came out intact, Zichun breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. However, he did not immediately fight. Instead, he waited for these natives to die. At the same time, he also seized the little time to carefully familiarize himself with his current physical strength. Yushiyu understood, but he did not point it out. Just like that, 2 hours passed. One after another, the domains were broken. At the moment when the domains were broken, all the natives seemed to have been seriously injured and became very weak. At the same time, they seemed to have lost their souls, because their domains were not broken by force, but forcibly devoured. Even if they were alive, there was no possibility for them to use it again. Under such circumstances, they were no different from ordinary people. What's more, they would not be alive. In the next moment, their bodies turned into countless light spots and dissipated. After all the natives disappeared, the spirit-devouring grass emitted a jade-like light and flew to Su Mengyao's side. Su Mengyao stretched out her hand, and it fell into her palm. It was not until the spirit-devouring grass disappeared that everyone retracted their gazes and looked shocked. Obviously, in addition to Zichun, this white-clothed woman also had means to restrain the natives. Su Mengyao looked back at Zichun with a questioning look in her beautiful eyes. Zichun shook his head at her, indicating that he did not need her help. Let's go. Yushiyu turned around and walked toward the ruins. This time, Yue did not follow. He was the only living native here. Zichun walked toward the ruins. Behind him, his friends looked at him worriedly. Don't worry, I'll definitely survive, Zichun said in a deep voice. It was unknown whether he was saying this to others, himself, or both. When they arrived at the ruins, a space appeared. The two of them walked into this space one after the other. This space was very large. In the corner, there was a glowing door. Yushiyu said, Kong Hongye is locked inside. As long as you kill me, you can save him. Of course, this is completely impossible. Zichun was silent. The aura on his body began to surge. Ordinary probing is meaningless. Show your strongest combat power. Otherwise, you will die miserably. A light appeared on Yushiyu's body. It was a black light that released a powerful aura. If the natives used a wisp of black energy to deal with the spirit-devouring grass, then the black energy on Yushiyu's body was a combination of countless wisps. Zichun was no stranger to this kind of black energy. In the area where he obtained the thunder body, in addition to the terrifying thunder energy, there was also a kind of black energy. Chapter 2998. It's familiar, isn't it? Seeing the change in Zichun's expression, Yushiyu said, Isn't it familiar? Zichun nodded, but he didn't think that Yushiyu had obtained the inheritance of the black energy when he had obtained the thunder body. That was because Yushiyu had been the leader for many years and had never appeared in that area. Now he understood why Yushiyu had said that he would definitely die as a level 8. Since it could appear in the same place as the power of thunder, it was obviously an energy of the same attribute as the power of thunder. Let's do it. One of us will die today. Yushiyu said indifferently, This is fate. Zichun didn't know what fate was, but he knew that he had to live because many people were worried about him and waiting for him. Not only did he have to get out alive, but he also had to save Kong Mo's father. Zichun unsheathed the long saber with a sheathed saber in his hand. The space suddenly lit up. The saber tore through the air. The powerful saber swept forward at an extremely fast speed, with a black mark on its surface. Compared to the saber tore through the air that had killed the natives, Zichun's saber was naturally stronger. That was because he had advanced from level 8 to level 9. Swish! Yushiyu looked at the saber that could easily wipe out the indigenous people and felt the terrifying pressure around him. A faint smile appeared on Yushiyu's face. His body flickered with black light as he easily broke free from the pressure and disappeared. The saber tore through the afterimage and missed. Looking at the scattered afterimage, Zichen's expression was slightly serious. This was the first person to avoid his saber-tour through the air so far. In addition to the terrible power of his saber-tour through the air, its greater function was to seal the space. Obviously, it was ineffective at this moment. Black light flickered, and Yushiyu appeared behind Zichen. A cold smile appeared at the corners of his mouth, and the black energy became violent. Zichen didn't sheath the long saber in his hand. He turned around and slashed horizontally. The power of thunder poured into the saber, releasing the bright light of thunder. Rumbling sounds came from all around, and countless thunderbolts were violent. Yushiyu's fist smashed forward. Black energy swirled around the surface of his fist, emitting a suffocating aura. With a loud boom, a powerful shockwave spread out in all directions, stirring up countless ripples that rolled into the distance. Yushiyu's body retreated. Every step he took caused the void to vibrate. After retreating 5 steps, his body disappeared into thin air. Seeing Yushiyu disappear, Zichen's expression did not change. He turned around and slashed again. The Thunderblade had destroyed an afterimage. It was not the real body. The power of thunder surged out from Zichen's body. He turned around again and continued slashing down with his saber. The saber's speed was even faster than before, and it was invincible. Whoosh! What was destroyed was still an afterimage. A mocking smile appeared on Zichen's face after several strikes missed. Competing in speed? Lightning flashed on his body and his figure disappeared. In terms of speed, who could be faster than the world's fastest speed? The two of them turned into rays of light, flashing in this space as they chased each other. When their figures appeared from time to time, sharp saber lights would appear, mixed with whistling fist lights. Zichen attacked with his saber. Every saber strike was a saber strike that split the air. Every saber strike was also at full strength. He slashed out more than a dozen times in a row. These more than a dozen saber lights cut through the sky, leaving white streaks that resembled waterfalls. His speed was very fast, but Yushiyu was not slow either. The flashing black fist lights were also very terrifying. During this period, only one of Zichen's more than a dozen saber strikes hit Yushiyu, but it was easily blocked. Energy vibrated, and the space began to distort. An even stronger wave spread out. Zichen and Yushiyu were both pushed back. Zichen's face was slightly pale. Yushiyu's breathing also quickened. He looked at Zichen and said, "This is more interesting." As a rank 9, Zichen had not suppressed his opponent. If he was only a rank 8, he might not be able to defeat Yushiyu. Buzz! The light of energy flickered behind Zichen, and the heavenly thunder wings appeared. The surging lightning made him look like a god of war. After coming to this world, he rarely used the heavenly thunder wings. Every time he used it, it was when he was in danger. Whoosh! After using the heavenly thunder wings, his speed soared again, making Yushiyu almost invisible. Bang! With a loud bang, Yushiyu's body was pushed back. Zichen stood where he was originally standing. In the next moment, Zichen's figure disappeared again. Then, a sharp saber light appeared beside Yushiyu. A domain appeared around him, bringing with it a terrifying pressure. Accompanied by an energy boom, Yushiyu was pushed back again. Zichen's figure also retreated. In the domain, Yushiyu said indifferently, "You can't defeat me like this." As he spoke, black light erupted from his body like a rumbling storm. He charged at Zichen. Zichen held his saber and slashed down, using his strongest strength. Boom! The energy collided wildly. The saber light shattered, and Zichen's body was sent flying. Buzz! Ripples appeared in the space. 8 saber ancestor steels appeared, forming a saber domain. At the same time, the power of rules fell from above Zichen, enveloping Yushiyu. These were the rules that extended from his world. They were all negative and had a strong suppressive effect. However, as soon as these rules fell on Yushiyu, they were enveloped by countless black energy that looked like small snakes. In the next moment, these rules were annihilated. This was the first time Zichen had encountered a situation where the world's rules were restrained. He was very surprised. At this time, the saber domain had taken shape. He slashed down with his saber. 8 saber intents appeared from the saber ancestor steels, and landed on the saber light, making it stronger. Seeing the saber light coming, Yushiyu shouted coldly and punched out. Bang! The saber light exploded in midair. Yushiyu's body retreated in the air. The black light around his fist was cut off. After fighting for so long, Zichen finally broke through his defense. Yushiyu's face became gloomy. He retreated again. As he retreated, he quickly formed a seal. Endless black light lingered around his body. Zichen stood where he was and did not pursue. Different energies appeared in his hands. Yin and yang energies converged in front of him, constantly changing. Finally, they turned into a thunder lotus. The thunder lotus began to accumulate power, emitting powerful fluctuations. A roar came from the front. A black behemoth appeared and flew towards Zichen. The thunder lotus in front of Zichen was emitting a dark dual-colored light. It spun and flew forward. As it moved forward, the thunder lotus began to expand. Its aura became more and more terrifying. The black behemoth approached the thunder lotus. Its body distorted with the fluctuations. Its powerful claws slammed down. Boom! There was a roar in the space. The thunder lotus was shattered. The dual-colored energy contained in it exploded instantly, forming a destructive fluctuation that enveloped the black behemoth. Yushiyu maintained his domain. Black energy flowed on the surface of his body, blocking the impact of this terrifying energy. Chapter 2999. Yushiyu's expression turned ugly after failing to gain the slightest advantage over Zichen in a series of attacks. Although he already had a certain understanding of Zichen's combat strength, Zichen was much more powerful than he had imagined when it came to a real battle. Energy raged in front of him. In the blade domain, Zichen drew his saber again and slashed forward. The violent energy was split in half by the saber light. Yushiyu clenched his fist and attacked. His fist was completely shrouded in black energy. The aura of this punch was terrifying. Boom! A huge vibration was heard again, and Yushiyu was pushed back. At that moment, his pupils suddenly constricted as a ray of light appeared in front of him. It was Zichen's figure, and what followed was a thunderous fist light. This punch landed on Yushiyu's body. Amidst the boundless energy shock, Yushiyu's body was pushed back. However, he was not injured and rushed towards Zichen again. Zichen's figure flickered and disappeared from where he was. When he reappeared, he was on Yushiyu's side. After using the heavenly thunder wings, his speed was the fastest in the world. There was no doubt about it. Yushiyu's body was sent flying once again. Zichen used his saber and punched repeatedly. Such attacks were terrifying enough to suppress Yushiyu. However, that was all. So far, Yushiyu, who had his own domain and black energy, had not suffered any serious injuries. Zichen had used his full strength, but he could not suppress the other party. The rule power that he was most confident in had also lost its effect at this time. It could be said that the other party was the most difficult opponent he had encountered since he came to this world. Although he had not used the strongest move of the two-colored lotus, the other party was a native with a domain. Even if Zichen used it, he did not think that he could kill the other party. The battle continued for a while, and it was obvious that the two of them were evenly matched. Yushiyu retreated again and looked at Zichen, who was no longer attacking. He said indifferently, "We can't go on like this." Zichen nodded and said, "Neither of us can do anything to each other. Why don't you let him go?" Yushiyu sneered. "Let him go? Before we came here, I already said that one of us would have to die here. If they keep fighting like this, it's impossible to determine a winner," Zichen said with a frown. "So, let's just let them decide the victor." "They?" Yushiyu did not explain further. The next moment, his body disappeared and was replaced by boundless black energy. These energies twisted and transformed in front of him before finally turning into a huge black python. The python seemed to be a real existence. It was several hundred feet long, and its cold eyes stared at Zichen. A cold aura enveloped Zichen, causing Zichen's heart to tremble. He felt a sense of danger. He unsheathed his blade without hesitation and slashed down forcefully. 8 strands of saber intent lingered in the saber light, making this saber strike even stronger. When the blade light landed on the python's body, It was like a clay ox entering the sea. It did not cause the slightest ripple and disappeared. Boom! The black python moved. Its aura surged, and the blade domain began to distort. The python's tail swept gently, and a terrifying wave spread out. The domain exploded. The terror of the python caused Ziqin's expression to change drastically. At this moment, a terrifying energy swept over from the opposite side. Facing this energy, Ziqin coughed up blood and flew backward. The two were not on the same level at all. The black python flew forward. During this time, the surging energy around it caused the space to become unstable. A terrifying aura filled every place. In the next moment, Ziqin felt that he had lost control of his body. It was as if he was firmly sealed by the rules of space. His body became unable to move at all. His face was pale, and he was terrified. Seeing that the python was approaching and was about to swallow him in one gulp. At this moment, the energy in his body suddenly went berserk. Endless lightning surged out of his body and turned into a thunder dragon. The moment the lightning dragon appeared, the pressure in the surroundings disappeared. At this moment, Ziqin also disappeared and was replaced by a thunder dragon. The thunder dragon pounced on the black python, and the two powerful creatures began to fight fiercely. Ziqin was in the middle of the thunder dragon. He did not feel any danger, but he was very puzzled. He did not understand what was going on. Could it be related to the fate that Yu Shiyu had mentioned earlier? Could it be that the thunder dragon and the black python were destined to be? At this moment, Ziqin could not help but wonder if there were two powerhouses in this area back then. One was the black python, and the other was the thunder dragon. The two of them were like mortal enemies. An absolute battle broke out, and in the end, both of them died. After that, the two of them left behind their inheritances, and their successors would fight for generations. This time, it was Ziqin and Yu Shiyu's turn. Often, fate was like this, but this time was obviously different because Ziqin's thunder body was obtained from that figure. This was something more powerful and terrifying than the cultivation method recorded in the heavenly book. It was said that it was not something from this world. Suddenly, Ziqin's expression changed. Could it be that this black energy was also not something from this world? As for the truth, Ziqin could only wait until the battle was over to ask Yu Shiyu. Perhaps he would never have the chance to ask again. The thunder dragon and the black python each displayed powerful techniques, causing the space to constantly distort as if it could shatter at any moment. During this period, Ziqin felt his energy rapidly depleting. Clearly, the thunder dragon needed his energy to maintain its battle. After this continued for a long time, the black python let out an unwilling hiss and its body was sent flying. After being sent flying, the black python's body immediately shrank, turning into a small black snake that wrapped around Yu Shiyu's body. Yu Shiyu stood up and looked ahead with a pale face. The thunder dragon's aura was still strong and fierce. It was also shrinking, and Ziqin's body appeared from it. How is this possible? He shouted unwillingly. After the previous battle, you exhausted yourself greatly. Under such circumstances, how can you have more energy than me? The battle between the black python and the thunder dragon did not determine the outcome. What determined the outcome was his and Yu Shiyu's energy. In Yu Shiyu's body, there was no energy left, so he could not maintain the black python to continue fighting. In Ziqin's body, the energy was still very abundant because there was a complete and perfect world behind him. Ziqin did not know how to respond to Yu Shiyu, so he did not answer. Chapter 3000. Ziqin stared ahead in a daze. When he saw the black snake suddenly counterattack, he was momentarily absent-minded. Yu Shiyu's aura became weaker, but he did not resist. He allowed the black snake to bite his neck. Light quickly flowed from his body. There was unwillingness in his eyes, as well as sadness. "Stop!" Ziqin shouted and flew forward, unsheathing his long saber. The little black snake glanced at Ziqin. Its eyes were extremely cold. Before the saber light landed, it had already left Yu Shiyu's body and flew towards the periphery. With a paw sound, it tore open a small hole in space, escaping from this place. Lei Long, who was guarding Ziqin, disappeared into thin air after the little snake left. How are you? Zichen sheathed his saber and looked at Yushiyu, whose aura was weak. Yushiyu shook his head. The emotions on his face had completely calmed down. Do you want to treat your injuries? Zichen asked as he approached Yushiyu. Earlier, it swallowed my domain, Yushiyu said calmly. Hearing Yushiyu's words, Zichen's expression changed. Without the domain, the natives would soon disappear. Why? Zichen looked at Yushiyu and asked, why didn't you attack earlier? If Yushiyu had not given him time to fight with the elders, Zichen would not have reached rank 9. In this battle, as a rank 8, the chances of him dying were very high. However, the other party gave him a period of time, allowing him to reach the 9th rank, and his battle prowess to become even stronger. Yushiyu said, since it's a fated battle, it naturally has to be fair. Moreover, you didn't exceed my expectations. In the end, you won. Although I'm somewhat unwilling, it's still the outcome I expected. You're very good. Why? Zichen looked at Yushiyu in confusion. Because even if I won, I would still die in the end. You won and you're still alive, aren't you? Yushiyu laughed bitterly. When I found out about all this, I guessed the final outcome. It's a pity that it got away. Looks like another unlucky soul is going to end up like me. Yushiyu's body began to disappear. Since this is fate, the battle will naturally continue until one side is completely dead. A new opponent will find you. That energy is very evil, so you have to be careful. My bracelet contains my harvest over the years, as well as the key to enter Heaven's Road. It's enough for your friends to break through. I don't care about the life or death of the other Yu family members. It's fine if the Yu family is destroyed, but I hope you can let Yue go. Yushiyu's body completely disappeared. Only his voice echoed, leaving behind a floating bracelet. Looking at the scattered light spots, Zichen's expression became very complicated. The bracelet turned into a ray of light and fell into his hand. As he probed it with his spiritual sense, he saw many resources. These resources were what the elders were reluctant to give last time, but there was a lot in this bracelet. Just as Yushiyu said, it was enough for his friends to break through. It seemed that Yushiyu had reaped quite a lot of benefits over the years by relying on his identity as the alliance leader. But now, all of his gains were in his hands. In addition, Zichen also saw the key to open the door to Heaven's Road. The key released a bright light, which was very eye-catching. After putting away the bracelet, Zichen walked toward the only door in this space. There was a downward passage in the door. There were night pearls inlaid on both sides of the passage, so it was not dark. He walked all the way to the end and found another door. After hesitating for a moment, he walked in. There was another space in the space. It was an even smaller space, and there was a person standing inside. Zichen looked at the other party and said, "Are you Senior Kong Hongya?" In fact, he had already guessed the other party's identity through his appearance. "Are you Zichen?" Kong Hongya asked. Zichen was surprised that the other party knew his name, so he nodded. "Is Yushiyu dead?" Kong Hongya asked again. "Yes, I'm here to save Senior." Looking at the closed space, he drew his saber without hesitation. Every slash was a slash that split the air. 1 slash, 2 slashes. After several slashes, a crack appeared in the space, and then it exploded. Kong Hongya's body fell from above. His face was extremely pale as he half knelt on the ground. "Senior, are you okay?" Zichen stepped forward to help him up. Kong Hongya shook his head and said, "I'm fine. I'm just a little weak. All these years, my energy has been swallowed by the space. Do you want to take a break?" Zichen asked. "No, thank you." The space that Zichen and Yushiyu entered could not only isolate spiritual thoughts, but also vision. Everyone was waiting. Everyone was very nervous at this time. Except for Yue, no one here wanted Yushiyu to live, because his life meant that he would be constantly oppressed. At the same time, because Zichen belonged to the same camp as them, everyone had the same goal. Although Monk and the others knew how powerful Zichen was, they did not have any confidence at this time. Logically speaking, Zichen should be fine, but they were always full of worry and could not calm down. While waiting anxiously, a black light suddenly broke through the space and flew into the distance. Everyone was startled when they saw the black light. It didn't seem to belong to either of the two. After a moment of waiting, A ripple appeared in the space, and two more people appeared in the ripple. Seeing the two people, everyone was stunned at first, but then they exclaimed. Sure enough, Zichun was alive. Dad! Kongimo shouted and ran forward. Yue let out a sigh, his eyes filled with despair. Kongimo was very excited to meet his father. Zichun walked over. Weili looked at him and said with a smile, I knew you could do it. Zichun said, It was quite dangerous. Did you get the key? Weili asked. Zichun nodded. Weili's eyes showed a touch of joy. After waiting for so many years, it was finally time to leave. Zichun said, The door to Heaven's Road doesn't open randomly, so I plan to wait for my friends to break through before leaving together. This is yours to begin with, so it's only right. I believe no one has any objections. Weili looked at Zichun and asked, What are you going to do with the rest of the Yu family? Zichun had not thought of what to do with the Yu family. He turned his head to look at Yue, whose face was pale. You can leave. I won't kill you, Zichun said to Yue. Yue was stunned as he looked at Zichun. Before Yu Shiyu died, he hoped that I would let you go. Yue left with a complicated expression. He did not expect the Alliance Master to care about him. In today's battle, many aristocratic families in Heaven's Road City were destroyed, but there were still many natives. Zichun and the others stayed at the inn. Previously, they lived in Kappa's mansion, but now it was in ruins. Chapter 3001. Zichun had killed Yu Shiyu, and many members of the Yu family had died this time. It could be said that they had lost their momentum. However, over the years, many native families had been suppressed by the Yu family, so they did not hesitate to add insult to injury. All day long, the news that Zichun was going to destroy the Yu family spread in the city. At the same time, there were all kinds of provocations. Everyone knew that Zichun was not the only one who could ignore absolute defense. In Zichun's team, there was also an extremely beautiful woman who had subdued a spirit-devouring grass that could also break through absolute defense. After an entire day of fear, they finally made a great concession, or rather, a decision. That night, they appointed Yue as the head of the Yu family and asked him to negotiate with Zichun on behalf of the Yu family. Although it was called a negotiation, it was actually a glimmer of hope. Now that the Yu family was being hunted down by many forces and was on the verge of death, they were not qualified to negotiate with Zichun. What the family wants is to release the people who have been imprisoned by the Kong family all these years and compensate them with some resources in exchange for a glimmer of hope. After Yue saw Zichun, he directly told him his purpose for coming. He did not beat around the bush because he knew it was useless. All right. Zichun nodded in agreement. He did not hesitate or consider for a long time. He was not a murderer, and there was no fundamental enmity between him and the Yu family. This time, he had already obtained the key and could leave at any time. There was no need to kill again. These are additional resources. If you are not satisfied, I will go back and get some more. Yue took out a divine ring. There were many resources in it, but it was obviously much worse than what Yu Shiyu had left behind. Enough. That's it. Zichun did not want to be ruthless. Walking out of Zichun's residence, Yue heaved a sigh of relief. This time, the Yu family was saved. These years, the Yu family seemed to be the dominant family, but in fact, there were endless internal disputes. This time, the Alliance Master was dead, and those powerful elders were also dead. The Yu family was barely able to achieve true unity. The next day, many people came to the original ruins of the Alliance Master Mansion and began to rebuild it. The Yu clan had lost its power, Kong Hongya was still alive, and the young master of the Kong clan was Zichun's friend. Everyone could see that the Kong clan was going to make a comeback. Under such circumstances, there was naturally no lack of people who would add flowers to the brocade. Moreover, the Kong family could be said to have nothing at the moment. This situation could be said to be timely help. While Yue was looking for Zichun, many of the natives were also looking for Kong Hongya. All of them had respectful expressions on their faces as they addressed Kong Hongya as alliance leader. When Kong Hongya saw these people, he didn't express much. Kong Imo had always been by Kong Hongya's side. When the father and son met, they naturally had endless things to talk about. Kong Imo already knew what had happened that year. His memories of the past had been sealed. Now that they had been unsealed, it was a pity that his mother was no longer around. While Kang Hongya was entertaining the natives, the inn Zichun was staying at was also visited by many ninth-grade divine generals. They were here to see Zichun, but unfortunately, Zichun refused to see anyone. Taking a step back, they saw the monk and expressed that they wanted to enter the heavenly road. The monk was easy to talk to and had a good appetite. Everyone who came couldn't avoid losing some resources. Moreover, as the news spread, more and more people came to the inn. They stopped looking for Zichun and went directly to the monk. No one knew what the two sides discussed. In short, when everyone left, although they were very satisfied, the corners of their eyes were twitching and they seemed to be in pain. This situation lasted for 5 days. On this day, the monk suddenly came to Zichun and asked directly, "Is there a limit to the number of people who can enter the heavenly road?" Zichun glanced at the monk and said, "Why are you asking now? How many resources did you extort from them?" The monk said unhappily, "What do you mean by extortion? This is called service fee, okay? We fought for it with our lives. Why should they take it for free?" Seeing that Zichun was about to say something, the monk continued, "Even if we don't want it, others have to. Don't forget, we have a world behind us and a big family." Zichun didn't have a temper. Speaking of which, if they could really get out and bring back the resources here, they would definitely be able to increase the overall strength of the team. Go and ask about the specific situation. I still have a lot of people waiting in line. If there is no limit, I have no scruples. Saying that, the monk laughed. Clearly, the harvest this time was not small. I've almost recovered. It's time to go and take a look. On the same day, Zichun went to look for Kang Hongya. After rescuing him, Zichun only saw Kang Hongya once. After that, he didn't disturb him. Kang Hongya had been trapped for many years and was very weak. He needed time to recover. These days, it was Kang Imo who accompanied him. Only Kang Hongya and Zichun were in the room. Kang Hongya looked at Zichun and said shamefully, "I've been recuperating these days and didn't have the time to visit. I hope you don't mind, Zichun." Zichun said, "I won't. I came here rashly because I have something to ask." "Please speak. I want to know, if the heavenly road opens, are there any restrictions on the number of people who can enter?" Zichun asked the monk's concern. Kang Hongya shook his head and said, "There are no restrictions. Everyone can enter, but no one dares to say if they can walk out of the heavenly road alive." Zichun nodded. As long as there were no restrictions, he was relieved. Kang Hongya said again, "I heard from Xian that your custom-made battle armor was schemed against and destroyed. After we recover, we will customize a new set for you. The quality will only be better than before." "Thank you very much." Zichun didn't refuse. Entering the heavenly road was bound to be dangerous. With battle armor, everyone could protect themselves. Kang Hongya hesitated for a moment before saying, "Zichun, can I ask you for a favor?" Zichun looked at Kang Hongya in surprise. "When you leave, can you bring Xian with you?" Xian was Kang Imo. His name used to be Kang Xian. Zichun knew that the natives also had to enter the heavenly road and enter the divine monarch domain. However, he found it strange that the other party was willing to let Kang Imo leave when the Kang family was obviously weakened. Because most of the people here can't leave, they gradually developed many desires. People's hearts are not what they used to be. Instead of letting Xian stay here and be schemed against by others, it's better to leave with you and go to a wider world. Kang Hongya said. Zichun nodded and said, "If Senior is willing to let Kang Xian go with us, I have no objections." Kang Hongya heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Zichun agree. Then, Zichun took out the key and handed it to Kang Hongya. "I'll leave this key with Senior. After we leave, Senior will take care of it. I hope Senior won't deliberately make things difficult for the divine generals who want to enter the divine monarch domain. After all, their purpose here is to enter the divine monarch domain." Wei Li had told him that when Kang Hongya was in charge of the key, he treated the foreign divine generals well. However, there was still a limit to the number of people who could enter. Kang Hongya sighed and said, "I'm not making things difficult for them. Every time there is a limit to the number of people, I just want them to have a chance to live." Zichun said in confusion, But Senior just said that there is no limit to the number of people. Chapter 3002. Kong Hongye had never died. Kappa and the others thought that it was because the elders were restraining him. In fact, Yushiyu wanted to know the secret of Heaven Road, so he let Kong Hongye live. In the face of Yushiyu's interrogation, Kong Hongye had never spoken, but now he took the initiative to mention it. There are secrets in Heaven Road? Zichun was very surprised to hear this. Heaven Road can't be opened at will. Every time it is opened, it needs to gather energy. Only when there is enough energy can it be opened normally. Zichun knew this. It could be said that most of the people in this city knew this as well. The reason for this is mainly because the space in the door to Heaven Road is not stable. When there is enough energy, it will be relatively stable, which can also ensure the safety of some people. Kong Hongye said, "This is why Heaven Road needs a period of time to open, but this is not absolute. As long as I want, I can open Heaven Road at any time and let everyone in. Even if there is not enough energy, it can still be opened. It's just that the number of divine generals who can successfully reach the Divine King's domain alive will be very few. Although the Yu family has opened Heaven Road several times over the years, in my opinion, Heaven Road is still full of energy, even to an unprecedented extent." Kong Hongye continued, "If the same door is opened by me, there will be a huge consumption of energy, which can ensure the stability of that space. On the other hand, if it wasn't me, or if it wasn't someone from the Kong family who opened it, then even if it was full of energy, it wouldn't consume a single bit of energy. Everyone who went in had gone in without energy, so the chances of survival were extremely slim." Zichen's expression changed. Obviously, he did not expect that there would be such a big difference when using the key to open Heaven Road. "In my opinion, this door has not been opened normally for tens of thousands of years. The energy gathered in it is enough to ensure that everyone can enter normally this time." Kong Hongye finally said, "Because the Kong family is the gatekeeper of Heaven Road and also the guardian of Heaven Road. Of course, this secret is only known by the current head of the family and has been passed down from generation to generation." Zichun left Kong Hongye's residence. He did not expect that the Kong family had such a relationship with Heaven Road. After returning, Zichen told Monk that there was no limit to the quota. Monk was overjoyed when he heard this. On that day, he saw many ninth-grade divine generals. Apart from the monk, everyone began to cultivate in seclusion, using the resources left behind by Yushiyu to break through to the final realm. After another 3 days, Tyrant also chose to go into seclusion. This made the divine generals who had yet to obtain a spot anxious. Previously, Zichen had forcefully broken through to the next realm. This time, he chose to go into seclusion as well. Furthermore, he needed to expend even more energy to temper his body. The situation in Heaven Road City had stabilized. At the very least, before Zichen's group left, there wouldn't be any chaos. The members of the Kong family were released and slowly recovered. While the other natives of the city were providing assistance, they also occupied the mansions of the original elders that had been destroyed. Unlike the carefree divine generals, their families had to stay here and develop for a long time. After Kong Hongye recovered, he began to make preparations to rebuild his family. He did not immediately refine armor for Zichun and the others. After all, refining armor was not something that could be done overnight. Moreover, Zichen's precondition for leaving was that his friends had also reached rank 9. Obviously, there was still some time before that. With the help of many divine generals, the Alliance head residence was being built at a rapid pace. The area was much larger than before. Kong Mo also began to refine armor for a long time, striving to reach the equivalent of a rank 9 divine general as soon as possible. Many rank 9 divine generals exchanged resources for qualifications from Tyrant. They were in a good mood. The atmosphere of the entire Heaven Road City naturally became very good. There were no more disputes. Those divine generals who had yet to reach rank 9 were all working hard to cultivate. 10 years passed peacefully in Heaven Road City. Kong Hongye moved into the Alliance head residence. The Kong family could be considered to have recovered some vitality. Thus, Kong Hongye began to refine armor. During this period, he also invited the weapon refiners of other families to help. After all, he had to refine dozens of armor at once. It was naturally time-consuming. The materials they used were carefully selected by Kang Emo. The quality was even higher than the last time. This time, no one kept anything for themselves. The aristocratic families also provided some good resources. After Zichun and the others left, there would be no possibility of them returning. At that time, they would still have the final say in this area. Thus, at this time, providing some good things to let Zichun leave quickly was not a bad idea. While refining the armor, Kang Hongya also taught Kang Emo some weapon refinement techniques. During this time, he learned the highest level of refining armor, the armor domain. Back then, Kappa and the others had used the armor domain to control Zichun and the others. After learning the method of refining the armor domain, Kang Emo recalled the dozens of armor sets he had seen. He was very regretful. If he had mastered this technique earlier, not only would he have been able to see the armor domain at a glance, but he would also be able to change the patterns to make the armor domain his own. This armor domain was the highest level of weapon refinement technique. It was impossible for the rank 9 divine generals here to obtain it. Their custom-made armor was the most common type of custom-made armor. Dozens of armor sets, with the help of many natives, still took 100 years to refine successfully. In these 100 years, Heaven Road City was filled with a cultivation atmosphere. It also became more and more lively. This was because everyone knew that after Zichin's friends broke through, it would be time for everyone to leave Heaven Road City and enter the Heaven Road Gate. After 100 years, Zichin came out of seclusion. These years, he had been constantly refining his own energy. His combat strength had become stronger, and at the same time, his physical strength had become incomparably pure. After he came out of seclusion, Su Mengyao and the others also came out of seclusion one after another. With an unlimited supply of resources, everyone's speed of breaking through was very fast. In the next 10 years, all of Zichin's friends broke through and reached rank 9 one after another. When they came out of seclusion, monks spread the news and continued the unfinished business from many years ago. This time, everyone was clearly prepared. It was a lot more straightforward, and Monk gained a lot. At the same time, Kang Hongya brought some natives to find Zichin. They brought dozens of armor sets that had been refined. These dozens of armor sets were of very high quality. They had reached the peak of weapon refinement in this world. At the same time, each set of armor had its own armor domain. Zichin took the armor sets and thanked them profusely. Naturally, he would not refuse the request of the aristocratic families to send people into Heaven Road City. At the same time, he also stopped Monk from demanding service fees from these people. After everyone left, Kang Hongya looked at Zichin and said, "Are you leaving?" Zichin nodded and said, "I've stayed here for too long. It's time to leave." "When do you plan to leave?" "In a month." Chapter 3003. In the last month, Monk met with many divine generals. Many people knew that the Heavenly Road's gate was about to open, and the quota was in Zichin's hands. After asking around, these people took the initiative to ask Monk for resources. A month passed quickly. On this day, all the rank 9s in the Heavenly Road gathered together, waiting for the gate to open. They had been waiting for this day for a long time. Zichin's group walked out of their residence. Seeing the familiar faces, Monk was full of smiles, and even greeted a few familiar faces. Some people nodded at Monk, their expressions unnatural. Many people turned their heads away, not wanting to look at Monk. It was obvious that Monk had received a lot from them. Zichin saw Weili in the crowd and nodded at him. The latter nodded in response, not deliberately going forward. Although Monk was very greedy, he did not ask for service fees from Weili this time. He also did not ask for those who came with Weili to help them last time. In the center of the square, those family members had already arrived, and Kang Hongya stood at the front. Kang Emo stood beside Kang Hongya, his eyes red, very reluctant to part. Zichin led the group forward and asked, "Can we begin?" Kang Hongya nodded, turned around, and said to the crowd, "Entering the Heavenly Road will still be dangerous. For safety's sake, rank 8s should not enter. Work hard to cultivate, and try to enter when you reach rank 9s next time." This time, Monk did not ask for service fees from any of the rank 8s. If they wanted to enter, no one would stop them. However, In the crowd, many divine generals were worried that Kang Hongye would be like Yu Shiyu, occupying the quota alone, so it was inevitable that they were worried. Everyone, don't worry. Every time the Heavenly Road's gate opens, it will be within the permitted range. It was like this when Alliance leader Kang was in power, and it will be in the future. The reason why the Alliance leader strictly limits the number of people who can enter is to ensure that more people can live. Zichun said aloud. Many rank 8s retreated. Whether they believed Zichun's words or not, they would cherish their lives. Let's go. Kang Hongye took out a shiny key and waved it in the air. A ray of light appeared from the key and landed in the air. A huge gap was torn open in the sky, like a passage. Many people had strange expressions on their faces. Could it be that opening the heavens road was so simple? Some of the old people in the city noticed the abnormality and their expressions changed. A group of people flew into the crevice. The other rank 9s followed suit. They came to an even wider space, and in this space, there was an even bigger door. There was no door in the portal. It looked empty, with only the frame standing there. The door frame was engraved with patterns, releasing an ancient aura. This was the door to Heaven's Road. If one wanted to enter Heaven's Road, they could only use the key to open the door and enter from here. Many natives had seen Yu Shiyu open the door, but it was clearly different from Kang Hongye's. They had to walk out of the city for a long time to reach this space, unlike Kang Hongye's gentle stroke. It looked simple and calm. The door frame released a powerful aura, and no one dared to approach it. Kang Hongye took the key and walked forward. That ancient and powerful aura seemed to have no effect on him. He walked to the door frame as if he was walking to his own courtyard. He raised his head and looked at the huge door. His eyes were filled with emotions. He had thought that he would never be able to come here again. The key in his hand released a bright light, and he gently sent it forward. The door frame suddenly glowed. The water-like light dissipated from it, forming two closed doors of light. There were patterns on the door of light, and the aura was getting stronger. The divine generals nearby could not withstand this aura, so they retreated. Some natives looked at each other with surprise in their eyes. Kang Hongye was indeed different from when he opened the door to the Yu family. The huge door appeared in front of him. Kang Hongye reached out and inserted the key. The door released a strong light again, and the light completely engulfed Kang Hongye. Everyone was in a daze. This situation lasted for a full 15 minutes. When the light disappeared, Kang Hongye reached out and pushed the door in front of him. The door was extremely big, and Kang Hongye seemed very small in front of it. However, after he exerted his strength, the two doors were pushed open by a gap. The aura escaped from the gap of the door. At this time, everyone's attention was on the open door. They were all shocked by the terrifying aura coming from the door. No one noticed that Kang Hongye's aura was rapidly weakening. At the same time, the surging energy contained in this world was also rapidly dissipating. It was as if a vortex had appeared and began to extract the energy of this world. The door was completely opened, and the boundless light illuminated the surroundings. The aura released from the door became more and more terrifying. After a long time, the powerful aura dissipated, and the light gradually faded away. Kang Hongye walked back. His face was very pale, and it seemed that he had consumed a lot of energy. The divine generals did not change their expressions because they did not think it was abnormal. However, the natives who had been lucky enough to see Yu Shiyu open the door could see that it was abnormal. When Yu Shiyu opened the door, there was no abnormality. Why did Kang Hongye feel weak? Was it because he was not as strong as Yu Shiyu? Kang Hongye walked to Zichun and said, "You can go in now, Father." Kang Mo shouted, tears falling from his eyes. Kang Hongye patted Kang Mo's head and said, "You are no longer a child. You have the ability to decide what path you should take. Go." Then he looked at Zichun and said, "Sorry for the trouble." Zichun said, "As long as we are alive, Kang Mo will be fine." Kang Hongye nodded gratefully. He turned to the crowd and said, "You can go in now." Those level 9 experts who had been waiting for a long time could not wait any longer. As soon as Kang Hongye finished speaking, they all flew toward the gate of Heaven Road. With a flash of light, their figures disappeared. Many level 9 experts flew toward the depths. During this period, There were a few level 8 experts who were led by level 9 experts. They believed that they could reach the Divine King's domain smoothly. No one expressed dissatisfaction with this. They could only control their own life and death. Zichun, see you in the Divine King's domain. Wei Li clasped his fist at Zichun and left with his people. See you in the Divine King's domain, Zichun said. More level 9 experts could not wait to fly toward the gate of Heaven Road. Fewer and fewer people stayed. Zichun looked around and said, "Let's go too." After bidding farewell to Kang Hongye and the elders, Zichun led his people toward the gate of Heaven Road. Kang Emo looked back 3 times with reluctance in his eyes. In the end, he disappeared into the light. Kang Hongye looked at everyone who disappeared and said, "Take care." He put away the key. He would keep the key for the rest of the time. Chapter 3004. After entering the gate of the Heavenly Road, they saw a huge and spacious space. It was empty all around. Other than this space, there was nothing else. There were no mountains, stones, or buildings. This was the Heavenly Road? Everyone was confused, but they didn't stop. Those rank 9 martial artists who arrived flew towards the end of this space. During this time, some of them would encounter the ripples midway and then enter the ripples. Some of them were lucky enough to reach the end, and their figures disappeared. Where should we go? Looking at the disappearing figures, they looked at Zichun subconsciously. They were used to him making decisions. It was Zichun's first time here. Naturally, he didn't know which direction to go. He looked at Su Mingyao, hoping she could deduce. At this moment, Kang Emo squatted down. He held his head with both hands, looking very painful. "Kang Emo, what's wrong?" Lin Shui noticed Kang Mo's abnormality. She squatted down and asked with concern, "My head hurts. It's like something is growing out of my head." The veins on Kang Mo's forehead bulged. His body trembled. His voice was a little hoarse. He resisted the pain and didn't cry out. Zichun squatted down immediately. A wisp of soul energy tried to enter Kang Mo's consciousness, but it was blocked by a strong force. The soul was too important. Naturally, it couldn't be forcefully broken. Zichun retracted his spiritual thoughts and looked at Kang Emo with a frown. He had just arrived and there was already a change. This was obviously abnormal. It should have something to do with the Heavenly Road. Thinking back to what Kang Hongye told him about the Kang family, Zichun guessed that Kang Mo's change might not be a bad thing. Since he was a protector, perhaps he would receive some rewards or special treatment after coming here. Seeing that Zichun couldn't do anything, the others could only be anxious. The painful expression on Kang Mo's face gradually disappeared. It was obvious that the pain was lessening. The others looked at Kang Emo nervously. After a moment, Kang Emo opened his eyes. The pain on his face disappeared and was replaced by joy. "How is it?" Seeing the change in Kang Mo's expression, everyone's faces revealed astonishment. "A map appeared in my mind. It should be the route to leave this place," Kang Emo said happily. The pain that suddenly appeared before had completely disappeared. Everyone was surprised. They didn't understand what was going on. Previously, none of them had an accurate location to go to, so it was naturally a good thing that they had a map. At this moment, only the few of them were left in this space. The others had all left. "Then you lead the way," Zichun said. Kang Emo nodded and walked forward. As they moved forward, a light appeared on Kang Mo's body. The light fell on Zichun and the others. In the past, it was Zichun and the others who protected Kang Emo. Now, it was Kang Mo's turn to protect everyone. Kang Emo raised his tender face, his face full of pride. They moved forward in a straight line. During this time, a ripple appeared and enveloped everyone. Previously, when similar ripples appeared, the people inside would disappear and enter the ripples. However, due to the light emitted from Kang Mo's body, their figures did not disappear. Instead, they passed through the ripples and continued to walk in this space. A look of surprise appeared on everyone's face as they exclaimed one after another. Hearing these exclamations, Kang Emo appeared even happier. Just like that, they continued forward. They encountered even more ripples along the way, but not a single ripple was able to take them away. Soon, they reached the end of this space and entered the last space barrier. Reflected in their eyes was a spacious main road. In front of the main road, there were several small paths, and within the small paths, there were some forks. Seeing so many paths, everyone's expression changed slightly. After a slight pause, Kang Emo pointed to the small path on the left and said, "Let's go this way." While speaking, they walked toward the small path on the left. When they reached a fork in the path, they continued to walk toward the left. Along the way, there were many paths. In addition, there were many ripples. These ripples could take people away, but they did not have any effect on the others. Obviously, they could find the most suitable path by following Kang Emo. Along the way, they did not encounter any danger. "It seems that my super strength of the 9th level is useless in this place," Monk said with some regret. The tyrant said with some regret. They were all level 9, so his combat power was naturally the best. In addition, he also had a defense that surpassed everyone else, including Zichen. As soon as Monk's voice fell, a distorted space appeared in front of them. A giant beast rushed out of the space. Looking at the giant beast that was surrounded by the power of space, Zichen turned back and scolded with a smile, "Look at your crow's beak. Let me do it." Monk immediately perked up. His body was surrounded by golden light. With a light shield in hand, he was ready to attack. "Let me do it. There are many paths here. If we are not careful, we will take the wrong path. It will be difficult to come back," Kang Emo said. In these years, he had improved a lot. His strength was equivalent to that of a 9th-level divine general. He spread out his domain, and a light hammer appeared in his hand. This was the magic weapon he used to refine weapons. It was a manifestation of his magic power. The light of complicated patterns lingered on it. He took a few steps forward, and the light hammer in his hand suddenly smashed down. Accompanied by a huge energy shock, a terrifying ripple spread in all directions. As the ripple spread, the giant beast that came from the void in front of them was knocked back by Kang Mo's attack. Behind it, a ripple of light happened to appear. The giant beast's body sank into it and disappeared. With the crisis resolved, everyone continued to move forward. In the meantime, they met other people. When they saw Zichen and his group, they were very surprised and wanted to follow behind them. After all, Zichen's combat power was obvious to all. At least they would not be in danger if they followed them. However, before they could go far, they were swept away by the ripple of light that appeared one after another. In less than 10 minutes, they were the only ones left. This time, Zichen and his group saw it very clearly. It was the light of energy that was activated by Kang Mo's body that ensured that they could move forward normally in this space without being affected at all. The others did not have the protection of Kang Mo's light of energy, so they were all moved by the ripples. On the road ahead, giant beasts would appear from time to time. Zichen and his group did not attack. They were all sent flying by Kang Emo. After moving forward like this for an unknown period of time, Kang Emo suddenly smiled and said, "We have arrived." When everyone heard this, they were delighted. Could it be that they had walked out of the gate of heaven path so quickly? Could it be that the Divine King's domain was behind them? Kang Emo walked forward, and his figure disappeared. Zichen and his group followed closely behind. Chapter 3005. This was not the exit, and they were not in the Divine King domain. It was a pagoda. The pagoda was 9 stories high and stood alone in this space. Colorful energy flew from all directions and gathered into the light pagoda. The pagoda emitted a mighty aura and released a strong pressure. Seeing the pagoda devouring energy, everyone's expression changed and they were puzzled. Could the exit of the Divine King domain be inside the pagoda? Monk asked doubtfully. Kang Emo shook his head, indicating that he was not sure either. According to the map, they had arrived here. "Let's go inside and take a look." Zichen looked at the mysterious light pagoda in front of him. The other party looked extraordinary, and there must be a deep meaning for it to appear here. The group had just walked a few dozen feet when a ray of light suddenly appeared. The light turned into a light shadow and stared at them indifferently. The other party was just a humanoid creature and not a real human. At this moment, his expression was cold, and there was an unconcealable killing intent in his eyes. "Those who step in will die." His voice was cold and harsh like mechanical friction. A ray of light rushed forward. It was Monk. He had always felt that his powerful combat strength was useless. Now that an enemy had appeared, it was time for him to show his strength. Bang! He held the light shield in his hand and crashed into the humanoid creature. A strong wave spread out, and the humanoid creature retreated. Golden light burst out from Monk's body, and a tall Buddha shadow appeared behind him. The Buddha shadow slammed down with a mighty aura, and golden light covered the sky. The oppressive aura swept over from the sky. The humanoid creature snorted coldly. Light surged in his hand, and a long sword appeared. He thrust the sword forward, and the sword light rushed into the sky. It landed on the palm print, and energy exploded. The palm print was destroyed in midair. Monk, who had put away the light shield, held the demon-subduing pestle and came in front of the humanoid creature. Clang! The energy vibrated, and a golden wave spread out. The two of them retreated. The people behind watched this scene quietly. The humanoid creature was able to block Monk's attack. It was obvious that he was not weak. What puzzled them was where they were. Facing Monk's strong attack, the humanoid creature kept retreating. He was almost at the bottom of the 9-story pagoda. Monk was unusually excited. He attacked faster and faster. The golden Buddha light lit up the surroundings and dyed the colorful light pagoda behind him golden. Buzz! At this moment, ripples appeared on the surface of the light pagoda, and then another light appeared. Every ray of light was a humanoid creature. Their auras were as powerful as the previous one. After they appeared, they besieged the monk. Looking at the terrifying attacks that filled the sky, Tyrant let out a strange cry. The light shield in his hand appeared again, forming the strongest defense. All sorts of attacks landed on his body, causing countless ripples. While the powerful energy rumbled, it did not break through the monk's defense. Looking at these humanoid creatures through the defense, the monk laughed complacently. Come on, let's see how many years you'll need to break through my defense. These humanoid creatures didn't seem to have any intelligence. They didn't seem to be able to break through the defenses at all, so they continued to attack. Let's go inside and take a look. Zichen looked ahead and said. The devil ape standing beside him was the first to rush forward. Zhang Haoyan's body flashed with black light and disappeared. Luo Yi and the others also rushed forward, and even a light flashed beside Su Mingyao. The group went forward and encountered these humanoid creatures. They used their powerful attacks, and the energy rumbled continuously. Seeing the group coming forward, the monk didn't remove his defense. Instead, he directly rammed into these humanoid creatures. Bang! 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 These humanoid creatures that were close to him were all sent flying. A green light appeared from the void and directly entangled a humanoid creature. The next moment, countless roots appeared and took root on the humanoid creature's body, beginning to devour its energy. Under the devouring of the spirit-devouring grass, the glowing body of the humanoid creature dimmed at a rate visible to the naked eye. Countless specks of light entered the spirit-devouring grass through the roots. Gradually, the humanoid creature's body became more and more blurry before finally disappearing. The spirit-devouring grass devoured very quickly, and the others hadn't killed a single one yet. Let the spirit plant devour them all. Su Mingyao's voice sounded. The spirit plant was what she called the spirit-devouring grass. The others naturally didn't have any objections. While they were restraining these humanoid creatures, the spirit-devouring grass appeared from the dark and silently trapped those humanoid creatures. Then, it took root in their bodies and began to devour their energy. The others who didn't move at the back all looked forward quietly. Their eyes were filled with fear, but at the same time, there was a touch of relief. They were glad that the spirit-devouring grass belonged to their side. If it belonged to the enemy, it would be too terrifying. After devouring a lot of spiritual energy, the spirit-devouring grass's body shone brighter and seemed to have become stronger. It didn't take long for the spirit-devouring grass to devour all the humanoid creatures. The 9-story tower in front released light, and no more humanoid creatures appeared. Let's go. The group walked forward. The spirit-devouring grass turned into a green light and flew back. This time, it didn't disappear directly. Instead, it floated above Su Mingyao's head and circled around her. Obviously, it was also protecting her. There was a light gate under the 9-story tower. The monk walked to the light gate and pushed it forward. The light gate didn't budge. Buzz. The monk exerted force with both hands again. An intense light shone, but he still couldn't push the light gate. Obviously, it wasn't because he didn't have enough strength. It should be because of the rules. Let me give it a try. Kong Emo walked forward, and the monk retreated. Kong Emo came forward, put his hands on the light gate, and began to exert force. The light on his body immediately dimmed. Everyone could clearly feel the loss of strength. The next moment, the light gate shook, and a gap appeared. Seeing this scene, a smile appeared on everyone's faces, but they were not too surprised. The light gate opened completely, and a dazzling light appeared from within. Kong Emo looked back at Zichun. Let's go in and have a look. Obviously, this place took special care of Kong Emo. It shouldn't harm him. Kong Emo nodded and walked in front. Zichun and the others followed behind. Walking into the light tower, everyone found that the energy of heaven and earth here was very rich. Apart from that, there was nothing else here. It was empty. After scanning with spiritual sense, they didn't sense any abnormalities. They planned to enter the second floor to have a look. After all, there were 9 floors here. At this moment, a light suddenly appeared in the air. It was a light ball with the power of rules flowing in it. Except for the guardians, no one else is allowed to enter the tower. Chapter 3006. Everyone was unfamiliar with the term guardian, and only Zichun understood what it meant. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the ball of light that could speak in confusion, waiting for an explanation. Before they could get an explanation, Kong Emo disappeared in the next moment. Kong Emo is a guardian? Does that mean he's guarding us? Everyone was stunned and puzzled. The Kong family is the guardian of the heavenly road, Zichun said aloud. The others looked at Zichun one after another. Only when the Kong family opens the gate of the heavenly road will the space be stable, and everyone will have hope of reaching the divine monarch domain. On the other hand, if the Kong family doesn't open the gate of the heavenly road, the space of the heavenly road will be extremely unstable, Zichun said. In that case, aren't those people who followed Yushiyu back then? Everyone was shocked. Most likely, Zichun said in a deep voice. Everyone was shocked as they didn't expect the Kong family to be so useful. Now that a map appeared in Kong Mo's mind and he came here, it was obvious that he had an opportunity. While they were shocked, they were also very happy. However, the opportunity was right above them, and they couldn't get it, which inevitably made them feel disappointed. I don't believe it. There was no reason to give up after seeing the resources. The monk walked directly to the second floor, and the others didn't move. The ball of light in the air said, "Trespassers will die." The monk still didn't stop, and he even sped up. Whoosh! The ball of light disappeared. In the next moment, rays of light appeared one after another, and after landing, they turned into humanoid creatures. I understand. Zichun's face revealed a hint of joy, and he said, Kong Emo is a guardian, so he can go up directly. Although we can't go up directly, we can kill our way up. Obviously, everyone had misunderstood and thought that this was Kong Mo's opportunity alone. Fortunately, the monk's personality made them react. The spirit plant that had been floating above Su Mengyao's head flew high, and many of its roots danced like spirit snakes, entangling the nearby humanoid creatures. Su Mengyao could sense the spirit plant's joy at the moment, and it was obvious that the humanoid creatures here were of great use to it. Zichun's hand flickered, and a sheathed long saber appeared. There were many humanoid creatures here, so there was no need to deliberately kill any of them. As Xiao Qian drew his saber, a dazzling light appeared. The saber light slashed forward like a waterfall. As the saber light flashed, 2 humanoid creatures were slashed apart. When their bodies fell to the ground, they turned into countless specks of light. These light dots were the purest form of energy. They were like tiny spheres that bounced back and forth on the ground. Seeing this, Zichun felt very strange. With a flash of his body, he went up and touched these round balls. The sphere landed on his palm and dissipated, entering his body and transforming into pure energy. Zichun's eyes lit up when he sensed this energy that clearly contained rules. This was a higher level of rule energy. There was an aura in it that he could not describe. The quality of this aura was very high, but unfortunately, there was very little of it. He raised his head to look at the sky, his eyes becoming brighter. Could this be the special treatment given to the protectors by Heaven's Road? He can become a god king here? The humanoid creatures here were slightly weaker than the ones outside. After killing them, the others also felt that something was amiss. Let's kill them first, then refine them. Zichen's emotions fluctuated greatly. If that was really the case, then Kang Emo had given them a great opportunity. In other words, Kang Hongya had asked them to bring Kang Emo along because of this reason. Buzz. Zichen kept slashing with his saber. Every slash was powerful enough to split the air. One after another, the humanoid creatures were killed. These humanoid creatures were not very strong, so it was relatively easy for everyone to kill them now. At this time, on the 9th floor, there were countless energy spheres flying. Each of them contained pure energy. Boom, boom. The humanoid creatures trapped by the roots of the spirit-devouring grass also exploded, turning into more light dots. Obviously, at this moment, it had heard Su Mengyao's instructions. It did not devour all of them, but sped up its killing speed. After about 15 minutes, under the attacks of dozens of people, these humanoid creatures were all killed. Seeing the light dots that almost filled the entire floor of the pagoda, everyone's mood was extremely excited. Previously, they had all felt the uniqueness of this energy. It was extremely likely that it could send them into the Ancestor King realm, which was equivalent to the God King realm. Everyone began to sit down cross-legged to refine the energy. These light dots disappeared one by one, entering the body and turning into pure energy. The quality of this energy was very high. The entire 9-story pagoda was quiet. At the lowest level, Zichen and the others were refining the energy obtained from killing the humanoid creatures. Kang Emo stood at the highest level, looking ahead curiously. There was a very large light ball there. This light ball was sealed with a spatial technique. A lot of energy light came from all directions and was absorbed by this light ball. He had been looking at this light ball for a long time. He also knew that this light ball was a kind of extremely pure energy that could help him break through, but he did not immediately refine it. He was waiting for Zichen and the others to come up. This was because he wasn't sure if the others would be forcefully expelled after he refined this energy and broke through to the next realm. Zichen opened his eyes. The energy on this level had been completely refined by everyone. In this extremely short period of time, his improvement was very great. Now, he was very sure that this place had an opportunity for them to break through. In fact, Zichen did not know that this was the core of Heaven's path. This pagoda also had an extremely great origin, guarding this world. At this moment, the energy they were refining was the energy of the world's core. It was also an extremely rare energy for breaking through. In all these years, except for the Kang family, no one could reach this place. In fact, only the direct descendants of the Kang family with extremely strong bloodline talent could reach this place. It could be said that this time, they had indeed benefited from Kang Mo's contribution. After the energy on this level was completely refined, everyone got up and walked towards the second level. This level was still a battle. The energy formed by the humanoid creatures was denser, and the energy balls were much larger. They fought all the way to the upper level. When they reached the 4th level, everyone felt that it was strenuous. Martin and Lunk stopped on this level, while Zichen and the others entered the 5th level. After the battle, Martin and Lunk came up to refine. When they reached this level, even more people stayed behind. The demon ape, Zichen, tyrant, Roy, and Su Mengyao's spirit-devouring grass entered the 5th level. This battle took a long time. After the battle was over, everyone went to the 5th level to refine. When they entered the 6th level, Roy and Tyrant also stopped. Although Tyrant's defense was very strong, his attack was obviously insufficient. Zichen and the spirit-devouring grass reached this level. Chapter 3007. As the saber arc swept across the front, a humanoid creature's body was cut open, turning into many energy balls that scattered. These energy balls were not small in size. They emitted bright light, and the energy was extremely pure. Behind Zichen, the The spirit-devouring grass had already trapped more than 10 humanoid creatures, making them unable to move. It was devouring their energy, and during this time, many attacks landed on its body, but they were unable to harm it at all. Not only was it extremely tough, but its attacks were also extremely powerful. When the others were not strong enough, it was the only one who had been following Zichen to kill. Boom, boom, boom. When the energy in these humanoid creatures could no longer maintain their human form, it would give up devouring. Then, these humanoid creatures would explode, turning into light balls and dissipating. Zichen swung his saber aggressively. Every slash was able to kill one or more humanoid creatures. The energy in the world was constantly replenishing his energy. This battle lasted a little longer, but in the end, all the humanoid creatures were killed. Looking at the many energy balls that filled this level, Zichen showed a smile on his face. Monk and the others followed him, and then they continued to refine this energy. They had refined a total of 6 levels of energy, which was a great improvement. However, the combat strength of these humanoid creatures was clearly stronger. They had powerful battle armors, and although they did not have to worry about being killed by the armor-breaking attacks, they still could not kill these humanoid creatures. This was the 6th level, and there were 3 levels to go before the 9th level. Zichen looked up at the upward passage, then glanced at everyone who was still refining, and continued to walk up. Whoosh! The spirit-devouring grass followed behind him, its surface emitting a bright light. Zichen arrived at the 7th level. There were much fewer humanoid creatures on this level, but the aura they emitted was increasingly powerful. Under such circumstances, he could not be careless. He directly used the saber domain to surround these humanoid creatures. The spirit-devouring grass was also in the saber domain, and at this moment, it was attacking on its own. Zichen kept attacking, and the 8 saber ancestor steels were constantly releasing saber intent. A powerful aura surged in the saber domain. At the same time, Zichen's world also had rules. It could be said that he was using all his strength. Under the influence of the negative laws, his killing methods naturally became faster. After the battle ended, Zichen sat on the ground, gasping for breath. He had used almost all of his strength in the previous battle and had consumed a lot of energy. However, looking at the energy in all directions, a happy smile appeared on his face. There were only 2 more floors left before he reached the 9th floor. If he persevered a little longer, he should be able to reach the 9th floor. When everyone reached this level, they sat down cross-legged again to refine the energy. Su Mingyao looked at Zichen, who had consumed a lot of energy, and her beautiful eyes were full of concern. "Are you okay?" "After I recover, there should be no problem," Zichen said confidently. He began to refine the energy and recover. After he had fully recovered, he walked up. The spirit-devouring grass was still following him. This plant that they had obtained by accident had displayed its extraordinary power this time. Standing on the 8th level and looking at the humanoid creature, Zichen felt quite startled. Because there was only one enemy on this floor. The other party looked more like a real human. His body emitted a bright light, and the aura he emitted carried a powerful pressure. Although he had not reached the Divine King realm, he was not far from it. He could give Zichen a certain amount of pressure. The other party was no longer bare-handed like the other humanoid creatures. He had a weapon in his hand. It was a long spear. In the next moment, Zichen's pupil shrank, because there was a light tower floating above the other party's head. This light tower had 9 floors, and it looked very similar to the 9-story towers outside. Seeing Zichen, the other party attacked with his spear. He only felt his vision blur, and the long spear was already in front of him. A powerful aura fell on him. The long spear pierced through his body, causing ripples. Zichen's body was shattered in the ripples. Looking at Zichen's shattered body, the humanoid creature turned around. With a cold expression, the long spear in his hand swept across, causing the sound of air breaking. Clang! The long spear was blocked by a long sword, causing an even stronger ripple. Zichen's body was pushed back. The spirit-devouring grass attacked. Dozens of green lights rushed out and entangled the humanoid creature. The other party swept the long spear and retreated. The spear light blocked the green lights. Buzz! The void vibrated. The nine-story tower floating above the humanoid creature's head glowed and flew towards Zichun. The nine-story tower suddenly enlarged, and the power of the rules fell. Zichun's vision turned black, and he was enveloped by the nine-story tower. He was trapped in a dark space. This was the space of the nine-story light tower. At the same time, he felt the energy in his body was rapidly depleting. The yin-yang light on Zichun's body shone in all directions, illuminating the dark space. In the next moment, he unsheathed the long sword in his hand. The sword light slashed towards the sky like a waterfall. The sword light went up against the sky. When it encountered the barrier, it immediately exploded. This barrier was obviously the limit. Zichun immediately felt relieved and slashed out again. Then, he slashed again and again. After more than 10 slashes, the barrier only rippled, but it did not dissipate. Seeing that the sword light had no effect, Zichun's expression did not change much. The yin-yang light constantly emerged from his body, gathering into yin-yang thunder lotuses in front of him and flying into the sky. In the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of thunder lotuses gathered in the sky, flashing with the yin-yang light. It looked extremely spectacular. However, Zichun knew very well what kind of terrible crisis was hidden under this spectacular thunder lotuses. When the thunder lotuses could still maintain their balance, he propped up the saber realm to protect himself. In the next moment, the tens of thousands of thunder lotuses exploded. In this small space, the exploded thunder lotuses released a destructive aura, constantly raging. Zichun's saber territory kept twisting as it withstood the impact of the shockwaves. Just the aftermath was so terrible. What kind of powerful energy impact did the barrier, which had borne the main attack, suffer? However, when the energy dissipated, Zichun was surprised to find that the attack still could not break the barrier. The attack of tens of thousands of thunder lotuses could not break the barrier. This made his expression change. After taking the saber ancestor's steel, he rushed into the air, reached the barrier, and punched. This punch stimulated the power of the ninth-grade thunder body. At the same time, the yin-yang power gathered on the surface of the fist. Boom! The fist fell on the barrier. Streaks of lightning spread out, and the barrier began to distort. Zichun shouted and punched again. The energy of the thunder body was pushed to the limit by him. The flashing lightning on the surface emitted a dazzling light. In the constant roar of energy, Zichun heard the sound of the barrier breaking. A light fell in the dark space. He broke through the nine-story tower and appeared. Chapter 3008. After breaking through the nine-story tower, Zichun found himself standing in his original position. He had not moved a single step, as if everything was an illusion. He looked up and found that there were streaks of energy there. Those were the energies of the broken nine-story tower. These energies did not dissipate. They flew directly toward the humanoid creature. During this time, the energies merged and showed signs of healing. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, more than 10 roots fell from the sky. They were as straight as spears and took root on the energy, preventing it from successfully transforming into a tower. At the same time, Zichun slashed out with his blade. The already bright 8th floor was once again illuminated by the lightning, and strong light shot out in all directions. The humanoid creature held his spear indifferently and thrust it forward. When the blade and spear met, a powerful force exploded, forming an energy wave. The two of them retreated. The opponent's strength was beyond imagination. This made Zichun's expression change slightly. Chi. The sound of the air breaking was heard. The opponent's spear came again. It was like a poisonous snake. The angle was tricky, and it contained an extremely powerful force. Zichun's body disappeared into thin air. An afterimage was pierced through by the spear. Buzz. The spear in the humanoid creature's hand trembled again. Countless spear lights shot out from it. In the blink of an eye, thousands of spear lights appeared, forming a terrifying attack that covered the front. Zichun had nowhere to hide. On the surface of his armor, a light appeared. This was the light of a domain. The armor domain was activated by him. The spear lights fell on the armor domain. The sound of energy colliding rang out continuously. At the same time, his body was constantly pushed back by the impact. This armor was specially refined under Kang Hongye's supervision. It was one of the top armors in this world. This domain was even more amazing. Now, this armor domain, which was second only to the absolute domain, was obviously starting to distort after withstanding a huge force. It was as if it could break at any time. As soon as the spear lights disappeared, before Zichen could catch his breath, another spear arrived in front of him. Clang! Zichen slashed out with his blade. The powerful force shook his body again. His body was sent flying and crashed into the tower wall. Although he was not injured, Zichen's face turned ugly after being suppressed by his opponent again and again. He sheathed his blade and activated his thunder body. A gauntlet appeared on his right hand, which was also a part of his armor. At this moment, lightning flashed on the gloves as a powerful aura was released. At the same time, the patterns on the armor lit up as he pushed it to the limit. The spear came again, still as sharp as ever. Zichen clenched his fist and punched out. Boundless lightning flashed, and thunder power wreaked havoc. There was a huge explosion. A powerful fluctuation spread out in all directions and disappeared after coming into contact with the wall of the 9-story tower. Amidst the shockwaves, Zichen's figure swayed, and he retreated a few steps. Opposite him, the humanoid creature was sent flying. However, he was only sent flying backward. He did not seem to be seriously injured at all. The aura on his body became even more powerful. At this time in the air, the spirit devouring grass was still devouring the energy of the light pagoda, causing the light pagoda to be unable to effectively form. Damn it! Zichen's expression turned ugly as he charged forward again. Xiao Qin activated his lightning body, and the gloves released a resplendent electric light. Amidst the rumbling, he threw another punch. The humanoid creature was sent flying again, but that was it. Zichen could only suppress his opponent, but he could not hurt him. This was the same as the fight between the monk and the others. If the battle continued like this, it would never end. Go directly to the 9th floor. He glanced at the 9th floor, and his figure flickered as he rushed forward. The afterimages he left behind as he moved forward were pierced through by the long spear. At the same time, Zichen, who had reached the entrance of the 9th level, encountered a ripple of light. His body slammed into it, and then he was forcefully sent flying. Bang! When he was sent flying back, the spear hit his chest. The powerful force entered his body through the armor, causing his internal organs to churn, and he almost coughed up blood. Obviously, it was impossible to enter the next floor by force. He had to kill his opponent. However, his opponent was too strong. Zichen could only fight to a draw with him, but could not kill him. Did he have to stop here? At this moment, Zichen heard a loud bang. He looked up and saw that the 9-story pagoda that he had shattered earlier had completely collapsed this time, and could not be reformed. The energy that the 9-story pagoda turned into became purer. It flashed with a crystal light and floated in midair. Obviously, the spirit devouring grass had devoured his opponent, causing him to disappear completely. Zichen's eyes lit up. Perhaps he could kill his opponent with the help of the spirit devouring grass. At this moment, the spirit devouring grass split into countless roots again. These roots did not rush toward the humanoid creature, but fell on the floating energy balls around. In the next moment, these energy balls were devoured by the roots and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Originally, the spirit devouring grass would not devour the humanoid creature immediately after killing it. Instead, it would look for the next target to fight. At this moment, something seemed to be wrong. Just as Zichen was feeling puzzled, a powerful aura suddenly erupted from the spirit devouring grass after devouring the energy. As soon as this aura appeared, it was far stronger than his and the humanoid creature in front of him. Feeling the pressure in this aura, Zichen's expression changed instantly. This was the aura pressure that only a divine king could have. Then, a look of ecstasy appeared on his face. Could it be that the spirit devouring grass was going to break through at this critical moment? The spirit devouring grass that was releasing a powerful aura was changing in midair. The energy light on its surface was fusing, and its aura was sometimes strong and sometimes weak. It was not stable. Seeing this, the humanoid creature rushed forward without hesitation. His target was the spirit devouring grass. Boom! A strong beam of light landed on his body, and he was sent flying. Zichun stood in front of his opponent with the heavenly thunder wings behind him. At this time, he naturally had to protect the spirit-devouring grass. Once the spirit-devouring grass broke through to the Divine King realm, it would be too easy to deal with the humanoid creature. Zichun used his speed and powerful thunder body to make it impossible for the humanoid creature to get close to the spirit-devouring grass. The light on the surface of the spirit-devouring grass kept flashing, and the roots all retracted. At the same time, the branches and leaves that grew previously were also shrinking at this moment. As it shrank, the aura emitted from its surface became more and more terrifying. Energy roared. Zichun was still fighting against the humanoid creature, and the humanoid creature was sent flying again and again. The branches and leaves on the spirit-devouring grass were all retracted, and it turned into a seed in midair. This seed became silent, and all of its aura was withdrawn. In the next moment, a popping sound came from the seed, and the seed was broken by a force. A golden light illuminated the surroundings, and a slender leaf broke through the seed and grew out. There was only one leaf, and it was completely golden, illuminating the surroundings in a dazzling golden light. At the same time, the aura of a divine king erupted from the spirit-devouring grass. Zichun looked at this scene in shock, and even forgot to fight against the humanoid creature. The humanoid creature took the opportunity to charge at the spirit-devouring grass. Whoosh! Chapter 3009. Previously, it was extremely difficult for Zichun to kill the humanoid creature, but now it was easily penetrated by the spirit-devouring grass. Now, it was not an exaggeration to call it the spirit-devouring king grass because it was the first to advance in this team. After the humanoid creature was penetrated, his body remained motionless. The energy in his body flowed continuously into the spirit-devouring king grass through the leaf. The spirit-devouring king grass had already reached the king realm. After devouring the opponent's energy, it became even more powerful. With the danger gone, Zichun gestured for the others to come up. Everyone who came up after him saw this extremely shocking scene. They all stared at the scene in front of them, dumbfounded. At this moment, the humanoid creature's body was disappearing rapidly. It became fainter and fainter. In the end, his energy could not sustain his normal body and exploded into countless energy spots. Even so, the energy from his body could not disperse. It was all devoured by the spirit-devouring king grass. Whoosh! After devouring all the energy, the spirit-devouring king grass turned into a ray of light and flew to Su Mengyao's side. Compared to before, it looked completely different. Only a leaf was left. However, the aura it released made it so that no one dared to underestimate it. Su Mengyao smiled gently. Her smile overshadowed the blooming flowers. She reached out her hand and touched the spirit-devouring king grass leaf gently. Then, it fell into her palm and disappeared in a ray of light. She broke through just like that? Isn't that amazing? Tyrant exclaimed. His face was full of envy. This was equivalent to having a godly king realm assistant. The others were also shocked. Then, they were pleasantly surprised. Obviously, having such a godly king realm existence in this team was a great help to everyone. Let's go. Let's go up. Zichun looked up at the 9th floor. No matter what dangers there were on this floor, they had nothing to fear. This was because they had a godly king in the team. No one expected that the first to advance to the godly king realm would be the spirit-devouring king grass. Kang Emo waited patiently on the 9th floor. He was not worried that Zichun and the others would not be able to come up. However, he could not hear anything. It seemed that each floor had its own independent space. He waited for a long time, but Kang Emo was still very patient. Finally, he heard footsteps and immediately turned his head. When he saw Zichun and the others walking towards him, a look of joy immediately appeared on his face and he called out, "Big brother." When Zichun came up, he didn't see any danger. He saw Kang Emo standing there with a bright smile on his face. At the same time, he also saw the core energy in the center. He asked in confusion, "Why don't you refine this energy?" Kang Emo smiled and said, "Don't worry. I guess that Big Brother would come up. Zichun stepped forward and patted Kang Imo on the shoulder. Obviously, he knew the purpose of his action, and so did the others. Looking at the ball of energy, Zichun said, "All right, everyone, hurry up and refine it." This energy ball didn't look big from the outside, but it was actually a space of its own. God knows how much energy was stored inside. Not to mention that Zichun only had a few people. Even if there were more of them, the energy here could still be maintained. Next, everyone formed a circle and began to refine the energy in front of them. At the same time, the spirit-devouring king grass appeared and began to protect everyone. The energy that entered their bodies was purer than the ones they had refined before. Moreover, there was clearly a unique power of law in it. As they strengthened their understanding of the law, their realms naturally increased. This kind of increase could be clearly felt. As long as there was enough time, everyone would be able to smoothly break through. At this moment, although the divine generals were constantly swept away by all kinds of ripples, if it wasn't for their bad luck, they wouldn't be in danger. If the space wasn't stable, these people would enter the boundless turbulence after entering the spatial ripples, or be obliterated by a powerful spatial power. Occasionally, spatial beasts would fly out and fight with these divine generals. During this period, some teams would slowly approach the core area. However, no matter where they went, they couldn't find the core of the 9-story light pagoda. It was as if there was a door here, and the only key was the existence of the Kang family's direct bloodline. Other than those spatial beasts and the unstable ripples, there were no other dangers in this space. Some people were very lucky. During this period, they would reach the end of this path and then enter the mysterious Divine King's domain. Before coming here, their final destination was the Divine King's domain. As time passed, more and more divine generals walked out of this area and entered the Divine King's domain. Among them, there were naturally some who were very unlucky. They entered the spatial turbulence and could never leave. Zichun and the others were still refining the energy in the core area. Compared to the other divine generals, Zichun and the others were very lucky. Dozens of people had been absorbing the energy together for a long time. The energy that had been gathered for an unknown number of years didn't seem to be damaged at all. The spirit-devouring king grass stood guard at the side. During this period, it tried to refine the energy, but found that it was useless to it, so it simply gave up. Zichun and the others emitted more and more powerful auras. This aura was infinitely close to the Divine King realm. However, what Zichun didn't expect was that the first to break through wasn't his energy, nor was it his doppelganger. It was the lightning body. Sitting cross-legged, a strong light suddenly erupted from his body. Boundless lightning energy surged out from his body, bringing with it a terrifying pressure. The pressure instantly enveloped every part of the area. Everyone recovered from the state of absorption and looked at Zichun. Zichun was completely shrouded in lightning. The lightning he released became abnormally terrifying. The people nearby, including his doppelganger, quickly moved away. This was because they felt a strong sense of danger from the lightning. In the energy light in front of him, more energy entered his body. This energy was all absorbed by the lightning body and then strengthened his physical body. His physical strength was undergoing a qualitative change. This was because at this moment, Zichun could feel the changes in his lightning body. It was as if he had reached a certain level of perfection. As the lightning body strengthened, a fist technique appeared in Zichun's mind. This was a technique that came with the lightning body. Its name was as simple as the lightning body. It was called Thunder Explosion. Chapter 30:10. The Thunder Explosion fist didn't have any fancy techniques to speak of, nor did it have any complicated circulation routes. Everything was very simple, or even violent. Simple and violent. It was to mobilize the power and use the Thunder Explosion technique to punch out the power of the thunder body exploding. In his sea of consciousness, a lightning shadow appeared and began to demonstrate this punch. As the fist landed, the power of thunder gathered on the fist exploded. It was like a thunder meteorite exploding, or the yin-yang thunder lotus that had accumulated too much power exploding. The space instantly lit up and was enveloped by the boundless power of thunder. The raging thunder was infinitely magnified by the power of the Thunder Explosion, making this attack even more terrifying. It was like a person with great strength who had a sharp weapon in his hand, becoming even stronger. It was also like a tiger king in the mountains who had a pair of wings that could fly. A small success thunder body was already terrifying. With the thunder explosion, the power of the thunder body was infinitely magnified, causing an even stronger attack. After the fluctuations in his body dissipated, Zichun opened his eyes. Then he saw that there was no one around. Everyone was standing in a corner, looking at him in shock. "Why aren't you cultivating?" Zichun asked in confusion. "Cultivating? You made such a big commotion. How can we cultivate?" Monk said unhappily. When Zichun was breaking through, the people nearby stayed away from him, so the others could still cultivate. However, as time passed, his aura became more and more terrifying, and more thunder spread in all directions. This forced everyone to retreat, away from the place where they cultivated. Otherwise, their lives would be in danger. Not to mention the others, even Zichun's doppelganger also retreated. Although the two of them had the same soul, the power from before clearly carried a sense of destruction that did not recognize anyone. Zichun, who came back to his senses, smiled apologetically and said, "It's okay now. Everyone, hurry up and cultivate. Try to break through as soon as possible." Zichun closed his eyes again and absorbed the energy within it to refine it. However, during this process, Zichun found that the thunder body no longer grew after absorbing the energy. Obviously, it had reached the limit of growth, just like the spirit devouring king grass. In other words, the grade of the energy here could only allow them to reach the king realm. After that, it was useless. The others stepped forward and continued to sit cross-legged. Zichun did not give up because his energy had yet to break through. Under the circumstances that his thunder body could not absorb, his energy could still break through. Thus, he continued to refine the energy in front of him. The energy here was very suitable for breaking through to the godly king realm, or rather, it was the preparation for breaking through to the godly king realm. Next, everyone released powerful auras one after another, announcing that they had broken through to the godly king realm. The first to reach the immortal king realm was Su Mingyao, followed by Luo Yi, followed by Tyrant and the others. After breaking through, everyone was extremely excited. Before coming here, they had just broken through to rank 9. They didn't even dare to think that they could become existences comparable to divine kings here. Although they were all in the divine king realm, they were existences who had undergone the tempering of a 9th-grade physical body. They were much stronger than the divine kings of the outside world. Just in terms of physical strength, they far surpassed them. He had achieved his goal in the God King territory this time. With his current realm, if he went back to the God King territory, the Life Star would have a strong force guarding it. He believed that it would develop better. This time, Zichun was the last to break through. Because his energy was very special and there was a world behind him, it naturally consumed a lot of energy. At the moment when his energy broke through, his world began to tremble. Then, his soul continued to grow, and at the same time, it underwent changes. The Divine General Realm and the Divine King Realm were two different concepts. His world began to expand again. At the same time, more rules began to grow. The world's defense and the will of the rules also became more powerful. When he broke through, his doppelganger also broke through. His doppelganger used to be a heavenly god's bone. Now, it had reached the Divine King realm. Although it was still far from the heavenly god realm, it was obviously one step closer to the heavenly god realm. When Zichun broke through and opened his eyes, he found that everyone had broken through. They were all looking at him. Their eyes were filled with uncontrollable joy. Standing up, Zichun said with a smile, "Seems like everyone has broken through. We should go now." Everyone nodded. It was a great surprise that everyone had reached the Divine King realm. All of this was because of Kang Emo. The group walked out of the 9th-floored Light Pagoda. As soon as they walked out of the Light Pagoda, a new map appeared in Kang Mo's mind. This was the correct route to leave this place. While moving forward, Zichun suddenly opened his world and took Li Ai in. Suddenly entering Zichun's world and seeing that no one else followed, Li Ai was very puzzled. Zichun said, "Back then, you left something here. Now that you have broken through to the Divine King realm, I can give it to you." "Me? Li Ai's beautiful eyes were full of puzzlement. She said, "Did you remember wrongly? When did I leave you anything?" Zichun said with a smile, "Whether I remembered wrongly or not, you will know by looking at it yourself." Zichun took out the memory that Li Ai left here. Li Ai looked at the sealed memory ball, and her expression became more and more puzzled. Because she believed it, she did not hesitate. She took it and fused it into her memory. As she began to read those memories, Li Ai's expression gradually changed. Scenes from back then appeared again. At that time, she was only a divine envoy who went out to train with Zichen and Goddess Iqian. Her original identity was also equivalent to a goddess. When she was about to leave that world, she sealed her memory and gave it to the two of them for safekeeping. After that, Divine King Sandini began to target her, and twice at that. At that time, she was very puzzled and puzzled. Now, she understood everything. After reading all the memories, she looked at Zichun and said solemnly, "Thank you." They were just strangers who met by chance, but Zichun had kept the memory until now. Zichun said with a smile, "There is no need to be so polite between us." Li Ai nodded. They had become very familiar with each other over the years. Back then, I said that the real reason my father died was because he knew a secret. Now, I have seen this secret. Li Ai said. Zichun said, "That is your secret. You don't have to tell us." Li Ai shook her head and said, "We are companions. There is no need to keep it a secret from you. This secret is for divine gods. My father discovered that the divine world does not only have 9 divine gods." What? Zichen's expression changed. The divine world's 9 divine gods had existed since the divine race came into existence. Now, Li Ai was telling him that the divine world did not have 9 divine gods. Chapter 30:11. A celestial god died because he knew this secret. What did this mean? Zichun furrowed his brows. This news was simply too shocking. Before coming to this world, the 9 celestial gods left the heavenly realm. It was said that this trip would be dangerous. Was it related to this matter? Looking at the frowning Zichun, Li Ai said again, "In my memory, there is a world entrance left behind by my father. However, with my soul power, I can't open it yet." Back then, Li Ai said that her father knew the way to become a celestial god. Sacred King Sandini must have targeted her for this. Could it be that the way to become a celestial god was in the entrance that Li Ai mentioned? The light flashed again, and the 2 figures appeared. Monk sized them up and asked curiously, "Do you two have any private secrets?" Zichen glanced at Monk and didn't say anything. Monk muttered again, "There can't be any secrets, right?" Then, he looked at Su Mingyao and the others and found that their expressions were normal. Monk was still puzzled. What secrets could the two have? Outside Luke City, a team of divine generals walked into the city. It was obvious that it was their first time here. A group of young beggars immediately came forward, wanting to ask for some food. Many years ago, there was a young beggar who was taken away by a powerful team and never returned. In the eyes of the other young beggars, he must have lived the rest of his life peacefully and disappeared from the world. They were very envious. Therefore, over the years, there were many people who imitated that young beggar, but few succeeded. Scram! A furious roar came from the group, and a powerful shockwave spread out. Those young beggars who had just arrived were directly sent flying. Compared to the other teams, this team was very arrogant. At this moment, a black light suddenly flew over from the horizon. Like a spirit snake, it entered the body of one of the beggars. No one noticed the black light. They only saw the person next to him sway and almost fall. "Wagway, are you okay?" Seeing him sway, a woman next to him asked. The others also stopped and looked at the God Clan member named Xiao Wei. "I'm fine." Wagway shook his head. "If there's nothing else, then hurry up and leave. Based on our speed, when will we reach the Divine King domain?" A dissatisfied voice came from the side. "Ben Sinlu, we're not familiar with this place. There's no need to be in such a hurry." "Humph, isn't it good to become a God King earlier?" Yin Wei didn't say a word. At that moment, he was sensing the changes in his body. Gradually, a hint of shock appeared in his eyes. This world is still divided into 9 tiers. It seems like I still have a long way to go. It's Zichun. I didn't expect to see you again. This is very good. Zichun and the others followed Kang Mo. Along the way, they were enveloped by Kang Mo's energy, so they didn't have to worry about being swept away by the energy. The next time a spatial behemoth appeared, it would be sent flying by Kang Mo. After reaching God King, Kang Mo's battle prowess had become even greater. The quality of the heavy hammers he usually used for forging had increased once again. With each strike, he would produce extremely great power. Zichun and the others were naturally happy with Kang Mo's strength. It could be said that other than Zichun and Su Mingyao, the others couldn't possibly be Kang Mo's opponent due to their natural restraints. Kang Mo, who was moving forward, suddenly became excited. He turned his head and said, "Big brother, we're going to leave soon." The most mysterious Goking's domain was about to appear. Everyone's mood became extremely excited. They were filled with curiosity and yearning for the unknown Goking's domain. It's right in front. A ray of light flashed and the group walked out of heaven's path. As soon as they appeared, a powerful airwave appeared. Their bodies involuntarily moved backward. At the same time, exclamations sounded from all around. Zichun turned his head and looked around. He saw many ninth-grade divine generals around him. Zichun recognized that these people were the ones who entered heaven's path. Obviously, they had found the exit successfully. However, their expressions changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with fear. The source of the fear was in front. There was a giant beast there. Its body was surrounded by a yellow light, and it was releasing an extremely powerful aura. Its body was hundreds of feet long, like a mountain. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. This was a giant beast that was comparable to a god king. No one expected to encounter an existence of this level when they just arrived. At this moment, a person was standing in the air in front of the giant beast. A ball of strong light burst out from the person's body. A complicated pattern appeared in the strong light. A fierce tiger appeared from it. The tiger's aura was extremely powerful. It was not weaker than the God King giant beast in front. Could it be that they were about to see a battle between God Kings? The faces of those people in the distance were filled with excitement. There were also many people who frowned. To encounter an existence of this level when they just arrived here, this was not good news for ninth-grade divine generals like them. The two giant beasts fought in the air. Powerful shockwaves spread in all directions. The God King who summoned the giant beast stood there and watched the battle indifferently. He had no intention of joining the battle. Further away, Zichun saw 6 or 7 people standing there. Among these people, Zichun felt the aura of aboriginals. Obviously, they were God Kings like Kang Mo. It was just that he did not know whether they were friends or foes. Between the two king-level battle beasts, the fierce tiger had the upper hand. Its claws fell down. Blood splattered. The other battle beast's body fell to the ground. The great earth rumbled and trembled. Soil flew everywhere like hidden weapons, and a deep ravine appeared. The battle beast turned over and got up. There were many wounds on its body. There was a touch of fear in its eyes. It turned and ran. Obviously, all king-level battle beasts had good intelligence. Maybe it was because it was panicking, but the battle beast ran in the direction of Zichun and the others. The other divine generals along the way were frightened and ran away. When the king-level battle beast ran away, it swallowed a few ninth-grade divine generals. The giant tiger was still chasing after it. Looking at the approaching king-level battle beast, Kang Mo's domain appeared behind him. A giant hammer appeared in his hand. The next moment, he rushed into the sky. He poured a powerful force into the giant hammer and smashed it toward the king-level battle beast. With a loud bang, a ripple of light spread out. This incomparably powerful giant beast's skull, which was the hardest part of its body, shattered instantly. Accompanied by the sound of bones breaking, the king-level battle beast fell to the ground and died. Kang Mo stood in the air. Light flowed around his body, attracting everyone's attention. Some people recognized Kang Mo and were shocked. Chapter 30:12. Kang Mo attracted everyone's attention after killing a king-level battle beast with a single hammer. His young and tender face was filled with pride. Those who recognized Kangamo were shocked. They didn't expect him to be so powerful. Then, they noticed that Kangamo had broken through, and were even more shocked. They had encountered all kinds of dangers in heaven's path. It was pure luck that they could reach here. They didn't encounter any resources to break through. The hammer in Kangmo's hand emitted a powerful aura. The tiger stopped in front of him. It looked at Kangamo and swooped down. It arrived in front of the dead battle beast, opened its mouth, and sucked. A soul appeared from the dead battle beast and entered the tiger's mouth. After swallowing the soul, the tiger closed its eyes as if it had eaten its fill. The next moment, the tiger's body turned into light and returned to the body of the person in the distance. Oh, a member of the craftsmen actually came. That God King level existence glanced at Kangamo, a faint smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. I wonder which clan you are from. To be able to pass through Heaven's Path with Wang Yiping's cultivation, of course you're from my craftsman royal clan. An emotionless voice rang out as a middle-aged man flew over from afar. He came before Kangamo and asked with a smile, "What's your name?" Kangamo looked at the middle-aged man curiously. He felt a familiar aura from him. At the same time, he also felt a bloodline connection. I'm Kangamo, the middle-aged man laughed. You really have the craftsman royal clan's bloodline. Come, follow me back to the clan and let the elders see you. Before coming, Kang Hongya told Kangamo that he might meet his clansmen in this world. He didn't expect to meet them as soon as he arrived. He was happy to meet his clansmen. He said excitedly, Kangamo greets the ancestor. The middle-aged man smiled happily. My seniority isn't much higher than yours. Come with me. I have some friends. They escorted me here. I'll call them. Kangamo immediately said. The middle-aged man's smile disappeared. Our craftsman royal clan doesn't allow outsiders to enter. But Kangmo's smile disappeared. No buts. This is the rule of the craftsman royal clan. As one of the noblest clans, how can an outsider casually enter? Looking at the middle-aged man's proud and resolute face, the excitement on Kangmo's face disappeared. He said, Then I won't go. I'll follow Big Brother and the others. They escorted me here. Escort? The middle-aged man's gaze immediately landed on Zichen's group. He had never seen Zichen's group before, but he was very certain that they were the people Kangamo was talking about. He sneered and said, Rather than saying that you were escorting them, it would be more accurate to say that they took advantage of you to reach Wang Yiping. Even if there was any karma between you two, when they used your power to break through to Wang Yiping, the karma was already resolved. Kangamo shook his head and said, I'm not going. How are you going to grow if you don't go? The middle-aged man's gaze swept past Zichen's group and landed on Su Mingyao's group. Surprise flashed in his eyes as he said, You guys can come with me. Although the craftsman royal clan doesn't allow outsiders to enter, it's not a problem to bring some servants. This sentence was directed at Su Mingyao's group, not including Zichen's group. Su Mingyao's group ignored the middle-aged man and directly chose to ignore him. They had seen arrogant people before, but it was rare to see someone as arrogant as him. Moreover, the middle-aged man was only Wang Yiping, not much higher than them. However, this middle-aged man was clearly very nice to Kangamo. Zichen looked at Kangamo and said, Go back to your clan. We have our own things to do. When I have time, I'll come and find you. Kangamo shook his head and said firmly, No, I'm not going anywhere. I'll only follow Big Brother. Ridiculous. Whether or not they can survive in this world is still a question. If you follow them, you'll only drag yourself down and hinder your progress. The middle-aged man coldly snorted. He turned to Zichen and said, My name is Kang Shua. I don't care who you are, and I don't care who you are. Remember my words. If you dare to go to the craftsman royal clan, you'll die. With that, the middle-aged man waved his sleeve and disappeared with Kangamo. The surroundings were silent. No one said a word. This Kang Shua not only displayed strength, but also a kind of disdain. It was disdain for god kings. All the god generals in the surroundings naturally recognized Zichen's group. They were already strong, and now that they were god kings, their battle prowess was naturally even stronger. However, they were still ignored. If even god kings were ignored, then what about them? Why don't you guys come to our soul race? At this moment, Wang Yiping looked over and said, "Go to our place and be our servants first. Maybe someone from our race will take a fancy to you. If you're lucky enough to give birth to a soul race being, your status in the future will naturally rise because of your child." This sentence was clearly said to Su Mingyao and the others. The meaning was similar to what Kang Shuo had said before. It still did not include Zichun and the others. He did not deliberately mock them. This was a natural attitude. In a way, this insult to Su Mingyao and the others was a sincere attitude. Before these people could answer, the self-proclaimed soul race looked into the distance and said, "You guys too. If you want to change your status in the king's territory, this is the fastest shortcut for you." The surroundings were silent. Everyone felt uncomfortable in their hearts. "My name is Mycelian. I'm in a good mood today, so I'll introduce the king's territory to you guys. At the same time, I'll let you know your situation." Mycelian from the soul race said, "In the king's territory, there are mainly 3 races, which are the craftsman, soldier, and soul races. These 3 races are divided into many families. The craftsman race that you just saw is the Kong race, the Billy race, and the Larry race. For example, the soul race that we're in has the Mycelian race and other families. These families have absolute status in the king's territory. As for you guys, you can also be called a race. You're an outsider race. You're the main labor force of the king's territory. I can explain it to you like this. In the first few levels of the king's territory, there are mainly 3 types of life forms. The first type is the highly intelligent life form, which is our 3 races. The second type is the low-level life form, which is the outsider race. The last type is the intelligent life form, which is the king beast that you saw earlier." As soon as he said that, the expressions of many divine generals turned ugly. Zichun, on the other hand, was very emotional. When they had entered the divine realm, the god race of the divine realm had regarded them as high-level life forms and looked down on them, who came from the life stars. He did not expect that they would be regarded as low-level life forms here. They were even inferior to those battle beasts. In the king's territory, you low-level life forms, the women, have an easier time surviving than the men because you have the advantage of reproduction. Mycelian said, "All right, now that you understand the structure of the king's territory, who wants to follow me can become a servant of the Mycelian race. You Wang Yiping barely qualify and can also follow me." Chapter 30:13. Mycelian looked at Zichin's group, waiting for their reply. There was no expectation on his face, as if he was just talking casually. He didn't even have any interest in Su Mingyao, who was a top beauty in the entire life star. It seemed that he would only take her back as a servant, one that he didn't like. No matter what, in this world where people could change their appearance at will, there was no such thing as absolute ugliness. Everyone had a beautiful appearance. The only difference was their aura. The other 9th-grade divine generals were in low spirits. To come here, they had paid a big price. Although they had encountered a similar treatment in Heaven Road City, it couldn't be compared to the current situation. The God Clan's status wasn't even comparable to the battle beasts. Haha, I guess that you guys with bad intentions were spouting nonsense here. However, at this moment, a loud laugh arose from a distance. As the laughter subsided, a figure appeared out of nowhere. He was covered in a black robe, so they couldn't see his face. That black robe was special as it could block spiritual senses. However, they were sure that the other was a real God Clan expert. Don't listen to the nonsense of these idiots. This place was built by the heavenly gods. It's our testing ground. These idiots are our opponents. What bullsh*** T highly intelligent life forms. They're just for us to practice with. Of course, it's just a little bit more difficult. The shadowy existence shrouded in a black robe said, "They do have a restraining effect on us, but so what? We can't defeat Wang Yiping. What about Wang Yiping and Wang Yiping?" While talking, the other released his aura. Surprisingly, he had the competence of Wang Yiping. After releasing his aura, the other said coldly, "With such a realm, can't you kill those rank 1 idiots? We'll know if we can kill them or not after we try." Cold light shot out from Mycelian's eyes. A strong light flashed in front of him. The giant tiger appeared again. Boom. The giant tiger released a strong aura. Although it only had the competence of Wang Yiping, it wasn't weaker than Wang Yiping. "Bastard, go die," Wang Yiping shouted. Divine light flashed on his body as he flew toward the giant tiger. While moving forward, he quickly made hand seals. A light ball with divine light twirling around it appeared. It was as dazzling as the sun with a destructive aura falling on the giant tiger. Boom! There was a rumble in the sky as a powerful shockwave swept over. Many ninth-grade divine generals were sent flying by this energy. Zichen clearly noticed that when Wang Sanpin's attacks landed on the giant tiger, there seemed to be the power of the rules that appeared, and his powerful attacks were constantly weakened. At the moment of contact, the giant tiger's body was sent flying. He was only sent flying, and there were no other injuries. That was all. "Look, that's all they amount to," Wang Sanpin coldly snorted and said. "In front of absolute power, everything is nothing. What you need to do is to immediately disperse or form your own faction. Then, continue to grow until you can fight against these idiots. When you have the ability, there is no harm in trying these women who consider themselves to be higher life forms. They are extremely lustrous and can make people drool. Yes, I am Netherworld, and I specialize in killing these self-righteous idiots. If you have the ability, you can also join us." After the self-proclaimed Netherworld king finished speaking, he turned around and left at a very fast speed. "Do you think you can escape?" The sneer appeared at the corner of Mycelian's mouth, and the giant tiger from before attacked again. At the same time, several figures appeared in other directions. "Damn it! How dare you scheme against me?" Wang Sanpin cursed angrily, and then without hesitation, he coughed up blood. He stretched out his hand and drew in the air, and his blood merged into the pattern. The next moment, the pattern burst out with a strong light and disappeared with his body. When he disappeared, everyone could sense that his aura had become very weak. It was obvious that he had used a secret method to escape. Although the arrival of the other party proved that the divine race was not necessarily inferior to the natives here, seeing the other party directly flee made them very depressed. Especially when they found out that the people who came were only Wang Yiping, their mood became even more depressed. "Let's go." Zichen watched Wang Sanpin leave, then turned around and walked in the opposite direction. Su Mingyao and the others followed behind him. At this moment, it was inevitable that everyone would feel disappointed. No one agreed to Mycelian's request. Before coming here, the divine generals here, whether male or female, were all high and mighty existences. Even in Heavenly Road City, although they would obey orders, it was also because of benefits. Now, they were being used as tools for reproduction. This was something they could not accept no matter what. Mycelian stood in the air, smiling as he watched everyone disperse. There was no other emotion in his eyes except for ridicule. In his eyes, these people were no different from slaves. How could he be angry because he lost some slaves? "I don't believe this world is like this." The silence was broken by Roy. He looked at Ichien and said, "Before coming, did Lord Sky God tell you anything?" Ichien shook her head and said, "Before we came in, Father had already left. He just had someone bring me a teleportation token." Roy did not feel the slightest bit depressed. Instead, he smiled and said, "That's right." The others looked at Roy, not understanding why it was right. "I believe everyone can see how Sky God treats the Divine Daughter. But Sky God still let the Divine Daughter come here without any explanation. Doesn't this explain the problem?" Roy said, "This means that there must be a fortuitous encounter here. It's definitely not like what those people said." Everyone thought about it carefully and felt that it made sense. Zichen also said, "I also believe that there might be secrets in this world that we don't know. Of course, even if there isn't, we're not afraid." In their team, Zichen was not the only one who could break through the defenses of the Aboriginals. Su Mingyao's spirit-devouring Kinggrass could do the same. Therefore, even though they were both first-grade kings, whether it was Kong Shua at the front or Mi Cullion here, he was not afraid of either of them. Most importantly, Zichun could open his world here, so no one could threaten them. "Where do we go now?" After everyone's mood recovered slightly, they looked at Zichen again. Clearly, this had become a habit. When they had no idea, they would ask for Zichen's opinion. Let's go and see. Zichen, who also had no way out, could only say so. Our Sima faction invites you to join. At this moment, a divine general named Wang Yiping appeared in front of them. He looked at Zichen's group and said, Chapter 30:14. Standing in front of him was a Wang Yiping from the Divine Clan. He claimed that he was from the Sima faction and invited them to join him. Before Zichen could reply, more Divine Clans came to invite them. They were all Wang Yiping's level. There were 5 or 6 factions in total. Zichen looked around and saw that when the Wang Yiping was recruiting the 9th grade Divine Generals, he just waved his hand and said, "Follow me." The 9th grade Divine Generals had no choice. Compared to them, Zichen and the other Wang Yiping were treated much better. The others looked at Zichen. Zichen said, "Let's go with the Sima faction then." The Wang Yiping nodded and said, "My name is Bouvier." Zichen. The other Wang Yiping scattered. They looked disappointed, but not too disappointed. It was as if losing a few dozen Wang Yiping was not a big deal to them. The Sima faction had recruited enough 9th grade Divine Generals. The huge group started to return to their base. Bouvier explained, "The layout of this place is similar to the Path of Heaven of the Divine Kings, but the environment is harsher." Zichen thought back to the Path of Heaven of the Divine Kings. Many Divine Generals formed factions in the periphery to survive against the heavenly beasts. They could not even stay in the nearest city for long. If this place was similar to that place, then the first thing everyone had to do was to survive. Is there anything in this world that can increase one's strength? Zichen asked. Obviously, this was the key to their arrival. The Supreme Crystal in the mine. Bouvier explained, there are 2 types of Supreme Crystal. The first type is extracted from impure ores and fused together. This is a synthetic Supreme Crystal. Its grade is the lowest. The second type was the natural Supreme Crystal. This type of Supreme Crystal did not need to be artificially synthesized. It had its own set of laws, and its grade was very high, but it was also extremely rare. When we are mining, we will sometimes encounter a Supreme Crystal that has gained intelligence. We call it a soul essence. When you encounter this kind of Supreme Crystal, the best way is to run away. Otherwise, you will definitely die. Zichen and the others were shocked. They didn't expect that mining here would be life-threatening. What do we need to do? Mining? Zichen asked. Bouvier shook his head and said, normally, it is the God Generals who are new here to mine, while Wang Yiping usually works together to hunt king-grade heavenly beasts. Will it be dangerous? Zichen asked. Death is everywhere. Some are from heavenly beasts, some are from the terrain. In any case, there are all kinds of dangers. Bouvier looked up at the sky and said, it is said that this God King's domain has a few levels, and we are at the lowest level. We also have the most people. Every once in a while, there will be a large number of God Generals coming here. Therefore, although there are always people dying here, there will always be new people to replace them. It is said that the resources of the entire God King's domain are provided by the resources of this level. Zichen said doubtfully, the gate to heaven's path in our area has not been opened for a long time. Moreover, every time it opens, not many people come. Bouvier turned his head to look at Zichen and said, there is more than one God King's path to heaven. What? When Zichen heard this, his expression changed. The others were also shocked. The God King's domain is at the core, and the outer area is the God King's path to heaven. As for how many paths can reach here, no one knows. However, according to what I know, there are more than 8 God King's path to heaven that can reach here. This news was undoubtedly shocking. According to Wei Li, many experts on the ranking of generals had gathered in Heaven's Path City at that time, and there were even a few number 1. Could it be that it was just a coincidence that these people gathered together? Were there more experts on other Heaven's Paths? Zichen looked at Roy, and Roy shook his head, indicating that he did not know about this. The group entered a huge mountain range in a grandiose manner. Similar to the layout of the God King's path to heaven, there was little vegetation here. The mountains were towering and steep, and it was desolate and silent. During this time, they would occasionally see some God Generals wandering in the mountains and knocking on some areas. These ninth-grade god generals can't escape the fate of mining. Some of them will awaken some kind of talent and find superm crystal veins. At that time, there will be huge rewards. The lives of ninth-grade god generals can be in danger at any time. So the most important thing for them is to break through to Wang Yiping. They soon arrived at Sinma's headquarters. There were almost no decent buildings here, and there were caves carved out of the mountains. Bouvier explained, building here is extravagant because it requires a lot of resources to build. Ordinary buildings are useless because if heavenly beasts attack, those ordinary buildings won't be able to withstand a single blow. I'll take you to the hunting team. All the creatures in this world have a restraining effect on us, including those heavenly beasts. Usually, a Wang Yiping heavenly beast requires a group of god kings of the same level to kill it. Zichen and the others were taken to the hunting team by Bouvier. During this time, everyone received a token, indicating that they had become a member of the hunting team. I can't believe that the gathering place of 60% of the god kings in the god realm is like this. And these ninth-grade god generals gave up the glory and wealth of the god realm to come here to be miners of the lowest level. I don't know if this is considered noble. Monk looked at the group of god generals who were being scolded and sighed from the bottom of his heart. At this moment, Zichun was also at a loss. He thought that after becoming a god king, he would be able to become the absolute fighting force of the life star. However, he didn't expect that in the god king's celestial domain, he would be the lowest existence. Under such circumstances, survival was a problem. How could he go back? On the same day, some god generals left because they didn't want to be miners. No one asked them to stay. On the same day, a team that went out to hunt heavenly beasts returned. During this time, there were many injured people. However, their result was only a Wang Yiping heavenly beast, just like the heavenly beast that was killed by Kongamo not long ago. However, they paid a huge price to kill it. What should we do? At this moment, everyone was helpless. It was as if they had suddenly lost their goal and direction. Zichen said, let's wait and see. Let's get familiar with this place first. On the same day, Zichen asked the team leader where the nearest city was and how to get there. The team leader's answer made Zichen's heart sink to the bottom. I don't know where the nearest city is. After coming here, I haven't been to a city. He had been here for tens of thousands of years and was already a second-grade king. Chapter 30:15. Wei Li was also in the Sima faction. This was something that Zichun did not expect. He was very surprised to see Wei Li. At the same time, he was very happy. It was like meeting an old friend in a foreign land. When Wei Li saw Zichen, he smiled and said, when I saw you guys join this faction, I took the initiative to come here. Speaking of which, I followed you here. Zichen said, what did you find out? Wei Li came here to find him because he had found something. Wei Li smiled bitterly and said, all the divine clan members here are the servants of the natives. We are all working for the natives. Oh? Zichen was very surprised. Some people mine here, and some hunt king-grade heavenly beasts. After a certain amount is gathered, the natives will come here and take it away. Of course, before they leave, they will leave behind some superm crystal as a reward for everyone. Wei Li sighed and said, it is said that this situation has been going on for many years. If you want to get rid of this situation, you have to break through as soon as possible and become a third-grade king. This is because once you become a third-grade king, it will not be so difficult to deal with Wang Yiping's heavenly beasts. At the same time, you will have the strength to fight against the Wang Yiping natives. Of course, it is only a fight. It is impossible to kill them, unless it is the netherworld. What is the netherworld? Zichen asked curiously. He had seen the netherworld a few days ago. It seemed that the netherworld had come to give them confidence, but the effect was not ideal. The netherworld is a faction. They have very few people, but those who can join them are all experts. They can fight or kill a Wang Yiping one-on-one. It is said that to join the netherworld, the first requirement is to kill a Wang Yiping native. Wei Li said, among all the divine clan members here, the only one who is not controlled by the natives is the netherworld. They rely on plundering for their cultivation resources. Zichun nodded. He did not expect the netherworld to be such an existence. Wei Li continued, As long as you are strong enough, you have the possibility of becoming a member of the Netherworld. I think you can do it. Also, your friend might be able to do it too. The friend that Wei Li mentioned was obviously Su Mingyao. Then, Wei Li's expression turned serious. I'm here to tell you this. If you plan to stay here, then don't reveal that you have the strength of the Netherworld, because the natives' attitude towards the Netherworld is to kill them without hesitation, especially the spirit-devouring grass. That thing is like the nemesis of all aborigines. They can't let it live or grow. Zichen looked at Wei Li. Wei Li said, with your strength, it might be better for you to develop on your own. There's no need to join a team. Of course, if you want to get more resources, you have to snatch them like the Netherworld because you can't reach the city and can't go to the exchange to get the harvest. Then, Wei Li lowered his voice and said, among the people who came this time, many know that you have the spirit-devouring grass. If this news spreads and more people know, you may be in danger. Looking at Zichen, who was deep in thought, Wei Li laughed at himself and said, let's not talk about it anymore. I still have to go mining. The former number 1 on the general ranking board, the God General with the highest status in the God world, is actually treated like this in the God King heavenly region. Even mining is life-threatening. However, opportunities come with danger. The speed of breaking through is faster here. Wei Li left. Zichen frowned and pondered, considering if he should leave. Actually, after Wei Li told him all this, he had already made up his mind to leave. He was just thinking about how to not attract attention. At this moment, someone came to inform them that the team was about to leave. They were the 23rd team in the Sinma faction. Wang Yiping had more than 200 people. Other than the team leader who was Wang Yiping, the rest were all Wang Yiping. With so many God Kings, it would be amazing if they were in the God world. Unfortunately, in this place, many Wang Yiping could only deal with one Wang Yiping's heavenly beast. Obviously, these Wang Yiping's heavenly beasts all had the combat power to defeat those of the same level. They could only rely on their advantage in numbers. Monk, Demon Ape, and the others in the team were very excited. They had only seen heavenly beasts once when they came here. At that time, they were easily killed by Kongamo. Obviously, they wanted to see their own combat power. Why is there a level 9 general in the team? During this time, Su Mingyao saw that other than Wang Yiping, there were more than 10 level 9 divine generals in the team. Zichen could not understand this. Could it be that the combat power of these level 9 divine generals was comparable to Wang Yiping? The team of more than 200 people flew for 2 days. During this time, they did not leave the mountains. However, there was no one coming to mine. When they came to a relatively open area, the team leader of Wang Yiping waved his hand. Suddenly, a scream came from the crowd. It was a level 9 divine general who had been stabbed. Beside him, an indifferent Wang Yiping began to pour some liquid on his wound. In the next moment, Wang Yiping kicked the divine general away. The level 9 divine general fell to the open area in front of them. He rolled on the ground and screamed. When Zichen and the others saw this scene, they looked at each other in dismay. When they looked back again, they saw that the grade 9 divine generals were grieving for the loss of their own kind. At the same time, they also felt a sense of relief. Now that they finally understood the purpose of these level 9 divine generals, they felt nothing other than shock. How could this be? Monk looked at the level 9 divine general who had fallen to the ground in front of him. He was in disbelief. A level 9 divine general was used as bait here. At this moment, the team leader of Wang Yiping waved his hand. The God Kings immediately disappeared into the void. In the blink of an eye, everyone disappeared, including Zichen and the others. In an instant, there was no one around. Only the level 9 divine general's screams could be heard. There seemed to be something wrong with the liquid that was poured on his wound. His wound could not heal and blood kept flowing out. In addition, there was a unique smell. We'll leave in a while. Zichen, who was hiding, said in a low voice. The others did not object. Although the Shen clan was not necessarily their friend in the realm of the gods, they could not bear to see these people use a level 9 divine general as bait. Not long after, another group of heavenly beasts flew towards them, 2 of them in total. Zichen heard the sound of a sigh. Obviously, this team could only deal with one heavenly beast at the moment. They could not deal with 2 heavenly beasts this time. They could only wait for the next time. As for the level 9 bait, it was obviously a waste. Seeing this, Zichen said, "Let's go." The others nodded. The two heavenly beasts swooped down from above and bit at the level 9 divine general on the ground. Whoosh! An attack fell from the sky and landed on one of the heavenly beasts. Chapter 30:16. Naturally, they were no match for two heavenly beasts. In the past, they would not have made a move. The sudden attack caused everyone's expression to change. Under such circumstances, such an action was simply courting death. In their line of sight, they saw a group appear. There were over 20 of them. They recognized them as the newcomers. They were Wang Yiping, and it was their first time seeing them. They did not wait for the captain's voice transmission. They knew that these people were acting on their own, so they sneered. In a situation where they did not appear, these Wang Yiping who took the initiative to provoke them would die. One of the heavenly beasts was attacked, and then it raised its head. The other one also stopped in front of them. The natives compared these heavenly beasts to intelligent beings, more advanced than the divine generals who came here. Although it was not comprehensive, it was still reasonable. The two of them gave up on the rank 9 on the ground and directly charged towards Zichen and the others. The rank 9, who was already in despair, was stunned when he saw this scene. He even forgot to scream. Zichen's body flashed with light. At the same time as the armor appeared, the armor territory appeared as well. His body collided with the heavenly beast. Accompanied by a huge energy shock, he and the heavenly beast retreated. Such a scene caused the other divine kings to gasp. Among those of the same level, who would dare to attack a heavenly beast directly? Moreover, to be evenly matched with a heavenly beast? Even the captain of the king rank 2 did not dare to do so. Get lost. At the same time, Monk also rushed forward. He did not use the light shield. Instead, he propped up the armor territory and collided with the second heavenly beast. Energy shock. A visible ripple spread out, and Monk was repelled. To the others, this scene was the most normal. However, what was also abnormal was that Monk was not injured. "You guys go first," Zichen shouted and went forward again. He clenched his fist, and the yin-yang light surrounded his body as he attacked the heavenly beast. In the energy shock, the heavenly beast was repelled by him. Although he did not hurt the heavenly beast at all, to be able to repel it was already very impressive in the eyes of the divine kings who were hiding in the dark. The others left the battlefield and flew into the distance. The second heavenly beast roared, and a ripple of sound waves spread out. It began to pursue. Shwa. Zichen activated his 9 lightning strikes, instantly appearing in front of the second heavenly beast. With a powerful blow, the heavenly beast was sent flying. The Wang Yiping who were hiding in the dark were shocked when they saw this. Wang Yiping looked at the captain beside him and asked, "Captain, should we make a move?" The leader of the second grade king class shook his head. At this moment, there was also shock in his eyes. The other party was able to deal with a heavenly beast at this time. Once he broke through to the second grade king class, he might be able to kill a heavenly beast and become a member of the netherworld. Unfortunately, it was impossible for such a person to remain in their team. Even if he wanted to stay, they didn't have the guts to do so. The captain of Wang 2 ranks let out a sigh. If such a strong person stayed in the team, it would also be a disaster for them. The natives did not like the appearance of experts in the god race. They only needed the ordinary god kings and a steady supply of resources. Under the gaze of the captain, the others had already left the battlefield. The only one left was Wang Yiping, relying on his speed to fight against the 2 king-grade heavenly beasts. Looking at the other party's relaxed look, the captain felt that the other party must have other tricks up his sleeve. He lowered his head and looked at the 9th-grade king who was covered in blood. Perhaps this was the reason why the other party left. Shwa. Zichen left under the gaze of the god kings. He did not leave the 2 king-grade heavenly beasts behind. Instead, he led them away together. The shocked godly kings heaved a sigh of relief. "Captain," looking at them leaving, a person beside him asked, "Go." The captain of Wang 2 ranks nodded. The monk and the others were in the front while Zichen was alone behind them. The 2 king-grade heavenly beasts were chasing after them. During this time, The roars of the beasts were incessant. A strong aura was surging behind them. After about 15 minutes, the monk and the others stopped first. The monk turned around and a light shield appeared in his hand. He flew forward. He activated the light shield to the limit and collided with a king-grade heavenly beast. With a roar of energy, the king-grade heavenly beast was sent flying. Die! At the same time, Zichen turned around and unsheathed the long saber in his hand. He slashed at the beast. This slash was a slash that split the air. There were black arcs around the blade. Poof! The slash landed on the heavenly beast and broke its defense. Blood splattered, and the heavenly beast roared in pain. He did not kill the heavenly beast with this slash. He only left a wound on it. When he was at the God King's Path of Heaven, he was able to kill a 9th-grade aborigine when he was only at the 8th grade. He did not expect that he would not be able to kill a king-grade heavenly beast of the same level here. Just as his slash landed on the beast, Zichun clearly felt an inexplicable power appearing on the heavenly beast. It was constantly consuming his attack. Shwa. After one slash, another slash came. Zichun did not stop moving. Bang! The saber light was shattered. There was a bloody wound on the heavenly beast's claw. Su Mingyao wanted to go forward, but Zichun shook his head and refused. His figure flashed again and disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he was beside the heavenly beast. Slash! He shouted loudly. The yin-yang light on his long saber shone. At the same time, a surge of power belonging to the lightning physique was quietly integrated into the long saber. However, this surge of power was covered by the yin-yang energy. No one could see it. Poof! Blood spurted out. This time, the wound on the heavenly beast was even deeper. Indeed, the lightning physique was stronger. The heavenly beast was in pain. It turned around and its sharp claws slashed through the void. At the same time, dozens of fire snakes shot out from its body. These fire snakes were very hot. Zichen's battle armor domain became unstable and could break at any time. The sharp claws pierced through his body. It was just an afterimage. His real body appeared on the other side. When he appeared, his battle armor domain had already been broken. He slashed down with his saber. This time, the heavenly beast was decapitated. It fell to the ground and died. When the other heavenly beast saw this, it turned around and ran. It was known as an intelligent creature. However, it felt threatened by Zichen. Zichen did not chase after it. At this moment, he was very weak. After collecting the corpses on the ground, he hurriedly left with the others. After everyone left, a figure appeared. His face was clearly filled with shock. He didn't stop and immediately turned around to leave. How was it? The 2nd-grade King Realm leader looked at the returning deity king and asked, 2 King Realm heavenly beasts. One died and the other escaped. Thinking back to the previous battle, the deity king was still shocked. The leader's expression changed. He said, so it was like that. Wang Yiping continued, not everyone joined forces. Only that one person used 4 sabers to kill a heavenly beast. The others did not make a move. From my observation, he should have noticed me and did not use his full strength. He was still holding back. Chapter 30:17. Hearing Wang Yiping's words, the leader was shocked. If a person could deal with a heavenly beast alone and still hold back, wouldn't that make him the same as the aboriginals? How is that possible? Once Yuming found out, he would definitely try to rope him in. Similarly, if the other aboriginals found out, they would definitely try to kill him. Don't tell anyone about this unless you have no other choice. The leader ordered with a solemn expression. Yes. The deity king nodded. After leaving the area, Zichen's pale face returned to normal. He knew that someone was secretly following them, so he deliberately held back his strength. If he used his full strength, he believed that it would be easy for him to deal with a king-grade heavenly beast. At the same time, he could feel the strength of a king-grade heavenly beast. The heavenly beasts here are indeed strange. They seem to be restraining us like the aboriginals, Zichen said in a deep voice as they moved forward. It's not normal for such a situation to occur in a training world, Luoi said. Perhaps there are secrets in this world that we haven't discovered yet. The others nodded. Since this was a training world, there would naturally be tests. Even if they were suppressed, they should have ways to resist. Take the Divine King's heavenly path as an example. The Aboriginals would suppress the Divine Generals because if they couldn't, the Divine Generals might turn around and enslave them. Even if they could suppress the Divine Generals, they were not invincible. The spirit-devouring grass could suppress the Aboriginals. In the Divine King's heavenly path, the relationship between the Aboriginals and the Divine Generals was more of a cooperative relationship. However, in this world, the relationship between the Divine Generals and the Aboriginals was no longer a cooperative relationship. It was purely a master-servant relationship, or even a master-slave relationship. Furthermore, they had never heard of anything that could suppress the Divine Generals. It was not easy to have Yu Ming, but that was only a level 3 heavenly beast that could fight against a level 1 heavenly beast. If this was a world created by the heavenly gods, then where did the Aboriginals' lives come from? It was impossible for the heavenly gods to create lives stronger than the God Clan, right? They had all kinds of doubts in their hearts, but they had no way to find out the truth. This time, without waiting for the others to ask, Zichen said, "Let's get out of the mountains first." He didn't know when the secret of the spirit-devouring grass would be exposed. Under such circumstances, it was natural to leave the Senma faction. As the group moved forward, they encountered another king-grade heavenly beast. Looking at the heavenly beast, Tyrant said, "I'll deal with it." The monk rushed forward with the light shield in his hand while the rest of the people stood in the distance and watched quietly. After a single clash, the monk was sent flying. While his body was flying backward, a tall Buddha shadow appeared behind the monk. A palm print surrounded by golden light descended from the sky. Boom! The palm print landed on the heavenly beast and exploded, turning into a shockwave that scattered in all directions. The heavenly beast rushed out from the violent energy and went straight for the monk. One man and one beast fought in midair, showing that they were evenly matched. However, this kind of tie was only limited to the fact that the heavenly beast couldn't kill the monk. From the beginning of the battle, Tyrant was at an absolute disadvantage. If it wasn't for the light shield, he would have been completely defeated. Whenever Tyrant's attack landed on the heavenly beasts, it would be blocked by a mysterious energy. He couldn't hurt them at all. "Monk, put away your light shield and put up your defense," said Zichen, who was watching the battle. Tyrant hesitated for a moment before dispelling the light shield. At the same time, he activated all his defenses and smashed the demon-subduing pestle in his hand towards the heavenly beast. Pong! With a loud vibration, the demon-subduing pestle flew out of Tyrant's hand. At the same time, Tyrant's body was sent flying backward. The light on his armor was distorted. As expected, after dispelling his strongest defense, Tyrant was no match for the heavenly beast. In the next moment, the heavenly beast rushed forward. Along with the explosion of energy, the top-notch general armor territory was shattered. In just 2 strikes, the others' expressions changed as they shook their heads. Obviously, no one could deal with the heavenly beast under such circumstances, even if they joined forces. Even with Tyrant's powerful defense, he couldn't withstand a single blow, let alone them. Swoosh! In front of Su Mingyao, a green light flashed and the spirit-devouring king grass flew out. Its branches and leaves continued to extend like a snake, quickly wrapping around the heavenly beast. The heavenly beast roared as its powerful aura surged. Poof! The tip of the branches and leaves pierced through the heavenly beast's body and began to devour its vitality. The heavenly beast roared in pain. Its eyes were filled with fear as its vitality drained away. In everyone's perception, the heavenly beast, which was full of vitality, immediately became sluggish. While they were shocked, they also felt relieved. At least the spirit-devouring king grass was not afraid of these heavenly beasts. The heavenly beast's aura quickly became sluggish until it died with a final scream. "Let's go." This time, everyone had witnessed the power of the heavenly beast. In the team, other than Zichen and the spirit-devouring kinggrass, no one else was a match for the heavenly beast. As they moved forward, everyone could not help but feel depressed. As long as we continue to become stronger, these heavenly beasts are nothing, Zichen said as he looked at the dejected crowd. That being said, This place was not like the Divine King's Path of Empyrean. They were all level 9 Divine Generals when they reached the Divine King's Path of Empyrean. Although level 9 was equivalent to a realm, it was not a big realm. It was just a matter of physical strength. However, it was different now. Everyone had to start breaking through from Wang Yiping. Obviously, this speed would not be fast. In the absence of resources, it could be said to be extremely slow. Swoosh. The long saber was unsheathed and lightning flashed. The blade slashed through the body of a heavenly beast and decapitated it. This was the biggest surprise for everyone at the moment. Zichun could still kill a heavenly beast of the same level instantly. However, Zichun was not happy at all. This was because he mainly relied on the power of his thunder physique. The yin-yang energy was ineffective and consumed a lot of his energy. It could even be said that if it was not for his special thunder physique, he would not have any advantage here. Everything seemed to return to the way it was in the Divine King's Path of Empyrean. Zichun was in charge of killing the heavenly beasts, while everyone else was in charge of refining and improving their realm. However, this speed was too slow. As for the Supreme Crystal, they did not even have a single piece at the moment. The only thing Zichun could do every day was to kill as many heavenly beasts as possible. A team of natives entered the Sima faction. There were a total of 5 of them. They were here to take out the resources they had mined. There were 2 leaders in the Sima faction. They were Sun In and Kai Ma. Both of them were level 2 King Realm. At this moment, the 2 of them stood respectfully at the side and took out the resources that they had prepared earlier. The leader of the natives gave the 2 of them a piece of Supreme Crystal and said calmly, "Have there been any other strange occurrences recently?" "A team left us. It's said that they have the ability to kill heavenly beasts," Sanin said. "Oh, how many of them? What's their realm?" The natives asked. "There are more than 20 of them. All of them are Wang Yiping. According to the news, one of them can kill a team of Wang Yiping's heavenly beasts alone." Chapter 30:18. Sinin told him what he had heard. The native's expression became more and more unsightly. "Is this true?" he asked in a low voice, his expression indescribably solemn. "Someone saw it with their own eyes, so it can't be false," Sinin said hesitantly. "Apart from that, I also heard another piece of news. It is said that they have a spirit-devouring grass." "What's a spirit-devouring grass?" The native was startled. It's said to be a plant that can break through the craftsman race's domain on the Divine King's Path of Heaven. Sinin told him what he had heard. The native's expression changed again. If such a plant really existed, it would be a disaster for them. Just like how the god race was restrained by them, they would also be restrained by that plant. "When did they leave? Which direction did they leave in?" the native asked. "They've been gone for half a month." The native immediately rushed out of his room, spread the news, and flew into the distance. Sima faction did not have many buildings, so Sinin naturally had one. "Is this okay?" Hearing the native's shouts, Kaima looked at Sin An and said, "That person might be our hope." "I don't know if it's hope or not. I only know that I'm not far from rank 3. As long as the current situation is maintained, I'll eventually be able to break through. At that time, everything will naturally improve for me," Sin said calmly. "As for the lives of others, what does that have to do with me?" Kaima shook his head and did not say anything else. After being oppressed for so long, no one thought of resisting anymore. After getting used to the oppression, they would develop all sorts of negative thoughts. For example, they would not allow others to be stronger than them, let alone live better than them. "Boral, is what you said true?" The 5 indigenous people walked together, and one of them who was wearing armor asked. "Of course it's true," Boral said. "Did you forget what Mycelian told us to pay attention to when we came here?" The native named Bor asked. "No matter what, we have to kill these people this time." The others nodded in agreement as they recalled Mycelian's instructions. The native named Bor said, "These people who call themselves the God race are indeed not simple. They have a lot of variables. Back then, our ancestors destroyed their hope of rising to power. Who would have thought that the netherworld would appear among them? Although it is still restrained by us, it is still a threat to us. Who would have thought that this time, there would be an even more powerful heavenly beast, a heavenly beast at Wang Yiping? Wouldn't that be a threat to us as well? Moreover, this is under the condition that he has lost all hope of rising up. If the news is true, then this person must be killed. If he is allowed to continue growing, then it will be troublesome. That native from before said, "Indeed, he cannot be allowed to live. If by any chance he obtains the hope of rising again, at that time, our situation will become much more troublesome," Bohr said. "I don't think that's possible. Back then, the great ancestors had already destroyed all hopes of this world's rise. There are too many variables. We have to be on our guard. Have you sent a message to the city?" Bohr asked. "We've already sent the message," the person said. "All right, send us our location at all times. We can't make any mistakes this time." Killing heavenly beasts, refining resources, and moving forward aimlessly. This was what Zichun and the others were doing. They had already walked out of the endless mountain range, but they did not know where to go. "Why don't we learn from the netherworld and snatch resources?" the monk at the side said. The others were silent. They had never been so unconfident. After coming to this world, they could not defeat anyone. Even if they wanted to snatch, they did not have the strength to do so. As for breaking through to the next realm, according to the current speed, it would take at least 10,000 years. 10,000 years was a long time that could not be any longer. The silence of the surrounding people made the monk realize that this method would not work at all. Then, he said, "Why don't we find another deep mountain and go mining?" Mining was easier said than done. First, they had to find the vein. However, this suggestion was obviously much better than snatching. Moreover, everyone could be considered to be doing something within their capabilities. Therefore, they were somewhat moved. Zichun turned around and looked at these people, especially Su Mingyao and the rest. They were all first-class beauties, and Yi Qian and Li Ai were the daughters of the gods. Asking them to go mining? He smiled and said, "Don't be so pessimistic. Let's keep moving forward. When we find other forces, we can trade with them. We have the materials, and they have the supreme crystal. As long as the price is reasonable, they should not refuse." As they continued to move forward, Zichun would kill any heavenly beast he saw. The spirit-devouring kinggrass would also help. They moved forward like this for more than half a month. Along the way, they did not encounter too much danger. The heavenly beasts they encountered along the way were all turned into corpses. They collected a lot of materials. The most they encountered was 5 heavenly beasts. For Zichun, it was not a problem. He killed all of them. On a plain, a rootless energy flame was burning. Heavenly beast meat was being roasted above the flame. At first, everyone was in low spirits, but they gradually recovered. No matter how difficult the situation was, they had to face it calmly. Compared to the deity clan here, their situation was much better. They had much more freedom. On the ground, the soil was rolling. A black creature suddenly appeared. It was a black ant, about 10 feet long. After it appeared, it was heading towards them. Zichun noticed this scene. He was surprised. He got up and rushed forward. Exclamations came from behind. In all directions, there were many more black ants. Their aura was no weaker than Wang Yiping's heavenly beasts. "Get lost!" Tyrant shouted angrily. He rushed forward with the light shield in his hand. With a bang, a black ant was knocked away by him. However, in the next moment, more ants appeared from the ground and drowned Tyrant in an instant. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The others immediately leaped into the air. Tyrant had the protection of the light shield, so there was no need to be afraid. However, they could not. Moreover, these ants were too fast. Just as everyone soared into the air, wings grew out of the black ants' backs and they soared into the air as well. Flying in the air, their speed was even faster. None of them had the strength to deal with the heavenly beasts. Zichun immediately opened the world and put everyone away. At the same time, he landed. With a powerful shock wave, the surrounding ants were all knocked away. Tyrant's figure appeared. Although the attack did not break, Tyrant was still in a sorry state. Swoosh! His figure disappeared and entered Zichun's world. The black ants lost their target and immediately charged towards Zichun. There were too many black ants around. Zichun used the world to teleport away. Swoosh! When he reappeared, he was already thousands of miles away. The ants had disappeared. Chapter 30:19. Seeing the ruins in front of him, Zichen's expression changed slightly. A strong smell of blood came from afar. These ruins had just appeared not long ago and were not ancient ruins. Puzzled, he flew towards the ruins. There were dilapidated buildings in the ruins, and there were some dilapidated caves nearby. Dried blood could be seen everywhere. With a flash of light, the others appeared. Everyone was stunned when they saw the ruins. After taking in everything around, Zichen said, "It should be a force, but it has been destroyed." Seeing the messy traces on the ground, Su Mingyao said, "Look at these traces. They're very similar to the black ants we encountered before. Did they do it?" Roy said, "It's very possible. It must be them." Zichen had already felt the speed of those black ants earlier. Only they had the strength to destroy a force because even he found it troublesome at that time. If not for his teleportation ability, he would not have been able to kill his way out. Most importantly, when those ants attacked them, they surrounded them. Clearly, they were intelligent beings. In addition, there was an endless number of them. If they really wanted to deal with a force, no one would be able to escape. I found this. In a crack in the ground, the monk found a divine ring. The divine ring was stained with blood and was the only thing left here. When they opened the divine ring, they found some materials from the divine king's path of heaven. In addition, there were some crystals that they had never seen before. The crystals emitted a bright light and had the pressure of a divine king. Clearly, this should be the so-called supreme crystal. There were not many supreme crystals, only a dozen or so. Each supreme crystal had the power of laws flowing on it, and it was shining brightly. It seems that danger is everywhere here. Zichen looked at the ruins and said in a deep voice, "We have to be careful next." Everyone's mood became heavy. If Zichen did not have the world this time, everyone would probably be in danger. This world was full of dangers for them. A few days later, Zichen suddenly felt an aura coming from the horizon. After releasing his spiritual senses, his expression changed. "What's wrong?" The others noticed Zichen's strange behavior and looked at him in surprise. "Someone's coming," Zichen said. "Human?" Everyone was stunned at first, but they soon understood what Zichen meant. To be able to make Zichen's expression change, it was obvious that this person was not a Protoss, but a native. It shouldn't be a coincidence that they met the Aboriginals at this time. As the auras neared, everyone could sense that there were 5 of them. This was not a good thing. After sensing the number of people and their auras, Zichen said, "It seems that I have found a shortcut to breaking through." Everyone understood the meaning behind Zichen's words. Compared to their aimless search for opportunities, this was indeed a shortcut. 5 figures appeared in front of the crowd. They were the 5 people who had gone to the Sima faction. The leader, Frank, glanced at Zichen's team and said indifferently, "Kill all the men. Leave the women alive." Zichen smiled. A light flashed behind him, and everyone disappeared. Seeing the others disappear beside Zichen, Frank's expression did not change. He said indifferently, "Then let's kill him first." A person walked out from the front. A light appeared in front of him. It was a complicated pattern that looked like a spiritual array. A soul beast appeared from it. Obviously, this person was from the Soul Clan. After the spirit beast appeared, it let out a roar and charged towards Zichen. Zichen held his saber. The yin-yang light flowed on his body, and he instantly unsheathed his saber. A yin-yang saber light flew forward and slashed at the soul beast. Buzz! A special light wave appeared on the surface of the soul beast's body. After the yin-yang saber light met the light wave, it constantly dissipated. In the next moment, the yin-yang saber light exploded. The soul beast rushed forward and clawed at Zichen. Zichen's figure flashed as he used speed. At this moment, an invisible power of law fell on him, affecting Zichen's speed. With a pa sound, Zichen's body flew back. A clear claw mark appeared on the armor that appeared on the surface of his body. Retreating far away, Zichen looked ahead in shock. This was the first time he fought against a native of this world. Not only was his defense countered, but he was also countered in a clash of strength. The others did not make a move. Instead, They stood aside and watched the show with folded arms. Looking at the mark on Zichen's armor, Frank snorted. There is indeed something different. The soul beast roared and charged at Zichen again. Its sharp claws cut through the void. This time, Zichen's perception was very clear. There was an indescribable power of the rules that fell on him, affecting his speed. Bang! He did not dodge in time and was sent flying again. The armor domain formed on the surface of his body shattered. A deeper crack appeared on the armor, and the armor was on the verge of being scrapped. He was shocked. Was this the method of the natives? It was simply a death restraint. There was only life and no death. It is indeed much stronger than those of the netherworld, but it can't resist this restraint. Beside Frank, a native said. Although Zichen had not displayed the strength to fight against the soul beast, it was rare for him to be able to block 2 attacks and not die. The soul beast's attack fell again, but this time, light appeared on Zichen's body. Lightning flashed and the heavenly thunder wings appeared. Whoosh! The moment the heavenly thunder wings appeared, the control of the law weakened slightly. Zichen quickly retreated, and the soul beast's attack missed. Frank's eyes flashed with surprise. The others were surprised. He actually dodged it. There was indeed something different. Whoosh! Whoosh! Immediately after, Zichen used the heavenly thunder wings to dodge. The power of the law that fell on him was restrained by the heavenly thunder wings, causing the restraint to weaken slightly. Zichen was able to smoothly display his speed. After several attacks, he knew that it was not that the attacks of the divine kings in this world were weaker, but that the indescribable restraint of the law. As long as the restraint of the law was suppressed, these natives were not much stronger than them. Khufu, stop playing. Let's end this quickly. Seeing the soul beast's attack miss again and again, Frank frowned and said, Okay, the battle is over. Let's go back to the city and relax. The native named Khufu laughed and formed a seal with both hands. Suddenly, a powerful aura was released from the soul beast. Countless rays of light flew out from its body, forming a domain that enveloped the surroundings. Zichen, who was shrouded in the light, felt the suppression of the law become stronger. The heavenly thunder wings also lost its effect at this moment. It was as if he had fallen into a swamp, and his body could not move at all. Roar! The soul beast let out a roar and rushed towards Zichen. As it approached, the pressure became stronger and stronger. A sense of crisis emerged in his heart. The natives watched this scene coldly, waiting for Zichen to be killed. Boom! You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.